We are in the 5 o'clock hour, and if it's 5 o'clock, it's hard copy. Hard copy is a presentation of the McKinney Media Group. Copyrights 2016, all rights are reserved. The views, statements, and opinions of guests expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the views of the host, sponsors, or operators of this radio station. No part of this program may be copied or reproduced in full or in part without the express written consent of the producers, the McKinney Media Group. This is Hard Copy on the McKinney Broadcasting Radio Network. Hard Copy seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. The focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. Our desire is for a Bahamas with a competent, skillful, and productive workforce. We want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant visionary action plan that's ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians just like you to participate with intelligence and honest contributions. After all, my friends, we have a country that we can build. That's what we want. We want jobs and industry to create, and that's what we have to do. And we have a people to inspire and empower, and generations of born and unborn Bahamians. We, the people, must protect and plan for. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, why should we even consider returning these guys back to office? That's the question of the day. We've got a good man to answer that question, and be Alfred Gray. He's my guest up next today on Hard Copy. Yes, I read it. You want any coffee? You want any coffee or anything? Okay, that's right. Not only can you get one locator to help you breathe easy, you get $5,000 cash. Yeah, this here, you're a senior man. Recommend, and I didn't remember telling the day, but we're gonna move that by tomorrow. And that's a beautiful.
Exercise going not too good. What happened?
Sir,
you know, Mr.
peace of love.
That's yourself. I'm good.
You come in here, studio? You can if you want.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I ain't gonna do anything, you know. No, you can move it around.
You producer, you got here today.
This Nathan always was here.
Is your son?
Yeah, that's just like my son. He's
It's
not my biological son.
I think it was your son who's here.
Okay.
I did a show with you. Okay, well,
Makes sense to
meet you.
So what's happening? All is well? Be Alfred, what's
Yeah,
going
man.
on, man?
Not much, you know. Hey.
My question today to you is, why should we even have to consider putting the PLD back in power?
That's a good question.
Let's see how you go.
That's a good question, man.
Oh, you got water, okay. You want coffee or anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, sir.
That's just so we get a little chit chat.
Yeah, no big deal.
You know, today's Monday.
That's one of the list of things why we should at least get it done.
Yeah, man, you gotta say it. You gotta be convincing.
Yeah, you know,
It's your own subtle way of campaigning. You can't say never give you no chance.
No, hey, you good.
Oh, goodness.
You got a good show, man.
Yeah, this is the biggest show in the country. This is the biggest show in the country by far. The show needs another hour. We have too many ads. And the ads are at max for cost, premium. Yeah, I just decided to change my programming schedule. I designated a morning show. When I did the morning show, when I worked for Anthony Foster last week, I did a lot of little talking pieces. That was big. People like that. But I can't kill myself, you know, save some energy. I would do to save some energy.
61 Yep. Is the most progressive company in the Bahamas because they really take care of you.
But the Guardian and some shows on the daytime, right?
Yeah, but some people don't.
The
The Guardian, when a lot of people listen, not many, nothing else to listen to.
Yeah, they're not as good. They don't have many ads on that
They
show.
don't. That's what I'm saying.
But I had a show that I designated for
I think the
11.
Guardian has become too political.
Yeah, I had a show for
You
11
go too far right or
11 to
too
1
far
a.m.
left.
and I took it up. And I changed the show. I'm putting a show on. I'm gonna put Virginia up. I'm gonna move up in the morning. You know that? Yeah, I can move up in the morning. And I can move, use Hubert Gibson
in the afternoon between 2 and 5. Then I come on class. Yeah, he works with us. You know. He's not back, but he works with us. Technology, you know.
From Freeport?
You don't have to be here. I got people working with me all over the place. They're not. Some are here physically. Most are not here physically.
Okay,
Yeah, you don't have to be here physically.
okay.
But yeah, so if I put him in the afternoon, and I come on, then he comes back at 7. He comes back on after the show to finish that 4th hour. That's looking good. And so it means that I have taken back of that 2-hour run between 11 and 1. Because if I go in that 11 o'clock hour and do another show, one-on-one, live action, Gwendolyn will be up there. I'm telling you, that's why I didn't do it. But it'll work me. But it'll be a live action show between 11 and 1. I may do it, but I pulled it back. I had it designated and I pulled it back. And I'll just leave hard copy for the 5 o'clock run. That'll be the big show on the station right now. So these guys better start getting their act together. Because once you see the political season start as it is now happening,
Right, yeah.
it's over. They can't catch me that. I got all kind of blinds to be needed and stuff.
I know.
That's why I give you the opening bell. See, you're supposed to be leading off for these fellas and starting them off, but if they ain't pick up, that's their business. You know what I mean? If they don't pick up the Alfred Gray, ain't nothing I can do but that.
No,
So,
Mommy, what
you have local government now.
no, I don't.
You just agriculture, fisheries, you got legal boundary.
I'm reading it on your
I have,
Your friend told me
I have
that's comprehensive
agriculture, marine
concept.
resources.
Yeah, and
I have a lot of other things, BANC, BAIC.
Yeah.
I have a lot.
BAIC thing was very good. I gave you all a lot of credit on this thing.
Yeah,
I
that's.
gave you all plenty of credit on this station, on this show.
Yeah, I know.
I attended it.
Yeah, you covered a portion of it.
No, we covered it for news, but I mean, I talked about it on hard copy.
Oh, okay.
I was very impressed with it.
At that time, we were doing something in Exuma at the same time.
Yeah, you weren't there.
No,
You just did the
I did
opening.
the opening and I had to leave.
Yeah, I was quite aware. And then, of course, when we did that, a lot of people called about it. They enjoyed it too. So,
No, but
and I gave the
that's
government big credit for that. That was a good show.
It was really big and successful.
It was unsuccessful.
Successful, very successful. People asking us to do it every year. It's costly. Set it up, you know.
I was saying that y'all should do it every 3 months, but you know, I know it's kind of
There's been
not
no
good to.
governance.
We will do it next year again.
Try something different.
We're trying to do it every 2 years.
We are playing childish games. In my
We
judgment,
all set?
this is the worst administration in history.
That's what they're.
Where they are failing, nobody can wave on.
I feel like there are some persons that are going to try and make a difference. Now, will we be given the chance to?
We gotta be able to sow seeds of hope and a realistic feeling that
That's your leader.
it might not happen yet to me, but it's coming.
You gotta be joking.
It is Monday, the 4th day of the month of April, 2016. As you battle the congested city streets and drive home traffic, we have rain, lots of rain. You may want to sing rain, rain, go away. Let me tell you, cloudy and rain all day, all night long. 100% chance of rain in the forecast this evening. 73 degrees on the outside right now. We'll dip off to a low of about 68 thereabouts. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. It's Hard Copy time, and this is Hard Copy being brought to you by Clico Liquidators, Nassau Motor Company, Junkanoo Carnival 2016, Commonwealth Bank, Ministry of Tourism for domestic tourist travel. Make it a sure bet this time around. Also, we're brought to you by Kalina Insurance for comprehensive coverage, Bahamas Foot and Ankle, Lake Road, Super Value, with so many locations, Super Wash with 10 locations. Of course, the McKinney Media Group for effective PR concepts and advertisements. Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, Ron's Electric Motors, Claridge Wolf Road. We also brought to you by Sky Bahamas, professionals in every way, every day. Kalina Financial Advisors Limited, CFAL. Executive Printers, they do laser check printing right. And of course, Henry F. Store, the Light People on Mackey Street, and Buddy's Wings and Grains on Fox Hill Road. You can hard copy today at 325-0235 or 6. You can also get us on the BlackBerry 376-9234. Follow us on the World Wide Web at peace1075.com, cable top box 970, TuneIn Radio, any Android you'll get as iPad, iPhone. You can also follow us on Instagram, Hard Copy 242. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, watch us live right now. We are on Google Plus. You can go on the link and on our Facebook page, and you'll see myself and my special guest in the studios right now, getting ready to talk to the nation and the world about any number of things. But I put down one big question today. And we're going to feed the whole show based on one simple question. That question is, why should we, the people, even consider returning the PLP to office? Why should we? With all the things that have been going on, and you all have been telling me that you don't know what's been happening. You're not so sure if there's any good things to their credit. I'm sure there are. And that big question today, it may be a simple question, but if you think of it, with all the goings on, people saying this and saying that, you may ask yourself that question too, Okay, here we are. We don't have much to choose from now. We see the Free National Movement in the state of flux. We see the PLP in this particular ring, and a lot of people believe that they can get knocked out of it. We see the DNA as a party somewhere out there on the fringes, but are they really what we are looking for? And then we know of convergence that may be happening with some others who maybe want to put their hat in the political ring. The question is, how much time do we have? Is there sufficient time? Should we stick with what we know? Should we do the best of two evils? What should we do? And why should we even consider? Well, I've invited V. Alfred Gray to be with me today because I think V. Alfred Gray is a straight shooter, straight talker. And while he has his detractors, there are many people who admire the fact that V. Alfred Gray will tell you as he sees it. And today, for all intents and purposes, that is what we're looking forward to on the show, because it is about that time now, the bewitching hour, close to that big dance, where you either turn into Cinderella or you turn into a pumpkin or a frog or something of that nature. And so we ask that question today as we invite V. Alfred Gray to the microphones. Mr. Gray, so how are you?
I'm very good, Steve, and I thank you so much for having me on your show today. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Well, listen,
and I hope I can add to it.
I think so.
Whatever way I could, I'll do my best.
I think so.
If I can say a pleasant good afternoon to the Bahamas in general, and to those who will reach you directly in particular. And we are ready to go.
All of those people in the island, right?
Yes, I know Inagua is listening.
So, Inagua, Cat Island,
Long Island is listening.
Everybody's listening. Now, the thing is this, even our people on Maguana, Crooked Island, they're listening. How are the fires going down there, by the way?
The fire has subsided.
Mm-hmm.
It is under control. We've had the fire chief out of Nassau there for the last 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And he's mobilized the local forces together with some men out of New Providence. I went down there on Friday, spent most of the day there, and things are under control. There is no imminent danger. There was one unoccupied house which was destroyed during the ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
But together, the people came and they worked whatever they could to make sure the fire was contained at all times, and it was never out of control, so to speak. Some of the fires were in the hinterland, not on the roads, not.
Nobody was hurt.
No, and I think there was somebody on your show who was said to have had an email about 2 or 3 houses burned in Cabbage Hill, which was never true. I told you that, but I don't like people spreading things which are not true to create panic, especially for those who live here in Nassau and can't get even a call through. They could very well feel that their house might be part of that number. And it was just irresponsible of somebody to send such a text to your guest.
Well, I don't recall the text. I recall somebody sending a text talking about the fire being in the vicinity of the where our communities were, where people live, but it didn't say anything about a fire burning down any house. And then there were live pictures showing us.
There was a fire. There's no question about that. But I got the impression from Mr. Bostwick when he said I should check my facts because the email or text he had suggested otherwise. And anyway,
otherwise,
that's history.
otherwise, the fire was not just way out in hinterland, but also in the town and where houses were.
There was one fire, that's the one that burned the dilapidated house.
No problem.
So there was no denying that. But anyway, that's history. I'm glad it's under control, and everybody is seemingly looking forward to its proper extinguishment.
Now, let me ask you this. Since that's under control, I accept that. No problem. You're the member of parliament for that area. You have to know. You would have been briefed. I'm happy to hear that. But is everything under control within the PLP? That's the big question today, because really, all that we see happening suggests otherwise, Mr. Gray.
Well, I'm not sure what you're seeing, Steve, but the truth is the PLP is the most stable, the most progressive, the most people-centered party amongst all the parties that have ever existed in the Bahamas. And the history of our party is very clear. I don't need to reinvent the wheels. I'm not saying that the PLP is a perfect party. I'm not saying it has done everything for everyone. I'm not even saying we've done all the things that we plan to do. What I'm saying is when you look at the PLP and the record of the PLP, and if you look at the FNM and the record of the FNM, if you look at the leadership of the PLP and the leadership of the FNM and the BDM or DNA and any other party, it is definitely no comparison.
So the choice
Some people, the choice is clear if you choose to be objective. There are some people who don't like Mr. Christie for whatever reason. There are some people who may not like Mr. Menace for whatever reason. But when you look at man to man, one for one, pound for pound, there is no question that this country needs steady hands right now.
No question about it. Right now, we need steady hands. Futuristically, we need steady hands. Do we have the steady
and from
hands?
from those who are available, of which we know, not who might come. If you have
We're
to
talking
look
about what is
right now, if you had to look at who I will choose between Christie and Menace, or Christie and the DNA leader McCartney, or Christie, and there is no question. Christie may not be a perfect man, but I can say to you, if I had to blindly choose, I don't even have to know. Just listening to them, just watching them act, just the history. No, the PLP is the best party for this country right now.
Now you say that without any hesitation, with no reservations.
Without reservations. And we have the record to show it, you see. So I am here to talk about my party, what we have done over the last 4 years. Some of the things, not even all, because I can't. I
There's too many
2 hours.
things,
2 hours will not allow me to do it. Of course, it wouldn't.
You all have done that many times.
We see what we have not done, Steve, and to our discredit, we have had a poor public relations department, and I blame the party for that. And Mr. Roberts, if you can hear me, I've said it publicly before. We need to get our public relations moving. Because that's what killed the party the last time. We were doing extremely well. The economy was booming. But when you talk, nobody knew about what we were doing. And you don't blame anybody for that but the party machinery. Not even the leadership. Because he shouldn't have to drive what's going on in the PLP. There's a machine that is supposed to be at work, and it's supposed to be driven by PLP headquarters.
Now that you've said that, and I agree with you, the thing is this, though, even though you are now, your party, the PLP, is being scrutinized, is being vilified by some, is being observed, and is perceived to be a party that's in serious trouble because of all this NIGAD, Bacon talk back and forth, all this thing about Toogie and Boo Boo and all this kind of stuff, all these things about emails being tabled and all that. I'm saying it seems as if your party is taking it on the chin, but maybe that's just from my perspective. You are on the inside. What is it? How is the party feeling on the inside with all that is happening? You mean to tell me that you can sit here today, Mr. Gray, and tell me that you all ain't got no problems? It'll be an easy shoe in because you're just the best party in your opinion for the job at this time.
Oh, the best party doesn't mean the best party does not mean a perfect party. I thought I made that
Yeah,
clear.
it's not a
Neither
perfect
did
one.
I say the party doesn't have any problems. What I say is when you compare what is happening in the F&M to what may be happening in the PLP situation pales in comparison to the F&M. But having said that, I would like to go on record as saying the Save the Bay controversy, Nygaard, Bacon, started with and by the F&M. When Minnis presented that document to Parliament, obviously he was misguided. He did not know what those documents contained. And if he knew, he is foolish to have tabled it and start the debate. There was no debate started before Minnis tabled that affidavit, you know? And he was blaming the PLP for keeping company with Nygaard and criminals, whom he called criminals, Bugu and Tugu. And they are his friends. Tugi and Bu, whatever their names are. I refuse to even learn their names. But I am saying when he made that a public debate, it was Minnis who started this debate, seeking to blame the Prime Minister and the PLP for its friendship with Nygaard and criminals. Turned out to be his chairman was deeply involved. Turned out to be he was involved. He only admitted those things when he couldn't do any better. When you taking fish from criminals who you say Christy them had friends with, ain't nobody can take fish to your house and ain't your friend. And not once, twice. And say they're his constituents. They're not his constituents. But he was hiding behind the facade that they are my constituents, so I take fish from them. I challenge him to tell me where they live. And if they live in his constituency, they lived there since they became friends of Save the Bay and was able to amass millions of dollars in payments.
So you already believe.
And we have the records.
So you believe that Save the Bays is really, as Jerome Fitzgerald had put on the table of the House, that Save the Bays is really a political party.
Ain't no question about that. Let me
PLP.
tell you why we think so, Steve.
I'm listening.
Anytime a Save the Bay non-profit organization can pay confessed criminals more than $3 million to concoct stories against Nygaard, they said it. The documents and bank accounts are there to prove it. I'm not going to go too far because it's on the police investigations. I am saying, how does Save the Bay amass millions of dollars as a non-profit organization to pay singers like KB, CB Moss and those? Listen, it was intended to destabilize the PLP.
I hear you, right?
While trying to get at Nygaard.
Okay.
They put ads in the paper for $15,000 a day. $15,000 a day. If that ain't Bacon money or monies on behalf of Bacon, my name is Alfred Virginius Cornelius Gray.
Well, listen, I hear you.
Which Save the Bay gonna pay that kind of money for ad?
Yeah. Okay.
And say it's non-profit.
Yeah, but
that's why Darvel left. That's why Mrs. Phillip left.
Let me ask you.
Because they were hoodwinked.
Yeah, okay, fine. They left. Fine, whatever. Mr. Gray.
Yes, sir.
I hear you talking strong. But as some people say, you could be talking strong, but you could be talking wrong. Because I want to know, Mr. Gray, how come this thing about Nygaard got anything to do with the PLP? See, listen to my question.
Okay.
You seem to be all hot to be defending this thing and to tell me how these fellas have been just trying to destabilize the PLP.
Yes.
As far as I know, Nygaard is not a cabinet minister or a member of parliament of the PLP.
Well, how Nygaard got in it?
You said that just now.
No.
You said they were doing things.
I said they paid these guys to lie on Nygaard against a case which is filed by Bacon. Yeah, that's what I said.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
So now you said that. Here, my question. How come something what they're paying for against Nygaard should have any concern for the PLP? At all. No,
but we didn't start this fight.
No, but what I'm saying, who started. You seem to be defending. Listen, Mr. Gray. You seem to be defending.
I defend
that these fellas them going to do all these things trying to destabilize the PLP government.
Yes.
Nygaard is not a part of the PLP government.
No.
So my question is how you can say that they're trying to destabilize the PLP government if this whole thing was fashion and focus on NIGOD. You got me?
No. Listen to what it is. You read the $15,000 per day ad. You ever saw
I
them?
saw some things in the paper.
One just came out, and it was aimed at the government.
Through
Not-
NIGOD.
No. I'm talking about the ad, which is in the Tribune for the last 2 or 3 weeks, every day. It was aimed at the government and its policies.
I see.
Now, I am saying Save the Bay is intended to be a non-profit organization. If you want to fight for environmental causes, no problem. But if you read the ad, and I'm assuming you never read it, you would know without being a high school graduate that it was intended to defame the government, to make the government look bad, and nothing to do with environmental issues.
And nothing to do really with NIGOD. And it was just like
No, it was nothing to do with NIGOD.
They used
But
that
they
to
used
say,
his pictures in every ad
I see. So this was more or less aimed at the government.
at the government.
That's
Now,
why-
let me just tell you why I thought I said what I said. In fact, you ought to know that when Minnis tabled the affidavit, he tabled it seeking to blame the government
Yes.
for its closeness or friendship with a man called NIGOD.
Or maybe the word is affiliation.
Affiliation, whatever you call it.
Mhm.
Now, he was saying the PLP, the present government, allowed NIGOD to talk bad about the leadership. And it was so because he gave them contribution of whatever millions for the campaign. That's what he was seeking to do, to connect the PLP to contribution for the
But it
campaign.
backfired.
It backfired badly
I see.
because now we know Bacon funded the FNM. We don't care about that because funding for campaign is legal. But when he tabled the FNM of the affidavit of these so-called criminals, and he named them criminals. But at the time, Minnis could not have known his party's involvement with this situation. Otherwise, he's got to be crazy. He led his FNM chairman to resign because he was the engineer behind all these bogus payments. Or listen, when this finished, Minnis cannot be left standing. And I like Minnis, but Minnis was either misinformed, ill-informed, and deceived himself, believing that he was on to something when he tabled that document in Parliament. And it turned around that his party was deeply involved in an indirect way, not the FNL, but members of his party. And I guarantee you, if he knew that, he would not have gone public, but he thought it was going to embarrass Christie and the PLP. It turned around. If you hear the evidence, when you hear it, and I ain't going too far because it's in court and all that sort of stuff. I'm only talking what's said in the House of Assembly. I am satisfied that when you see the millions of dollars paid to Tugu and Boo Boo, or whatever the names are, by Save the Bay, or the organization connected with Save the Bay, you, Steve, will hang your head in shame, especially when you know the purpose for which the money was paid. What qualifications these guys bring to the table to get $3 and $4 million from Save the Bay or affiliate organizations? Tell me the truth. What qualifications they bring?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I ask you this question. What is the purpose now of Jerome Fitzgerald, the PLP, and anybody else who is calling on the FBI and the RIS and these people to come and investigate? What is that for?
Let me tell you what that is about.
Is that the
Let me tell you, let me tell you, because I don't want you to guess. As you know, the organization which supports Save the Bay is an American foundation.
Yes.
Non-profit, and they write off taxes
Yes.
against their
So
contribution.
you realize that that's established in the United States. That's why you're going after the RIS.
No, let me just go and say this.
I'm listening.
Once they allege that they are supporting a non-profit organization, and it ought not to have any political affiliations, It ought not to be otherwise but environmental. If the truth be told and the odds are seen, it will be very clear that somebody somewhere might have deceived the IRS. And the IRS is an American agency of the government that is dead serious about its taxes. And when you say it's nonprofit, you must show in every context that what you spend that money for and get tax write-off for it, it was nonprofit. I know if they look into it, and this is what Fragile was saying, they want them to look at it to see what the $21 million that was spent for the Save the Bay campaign, to see whether anything in it was political. And if it is political, then they could not qualify. Forget that kind of grant from an American nonprofit organization. That's number one. The FBI would come into it because if they lied on their tax return, not only is the taxes due, but it's a crime. In the United States, you don't pay your taxes in the Bahamas and laugh straight down Bay Street, and maybe nobody cares until they reach, when you want to sell it, you may have to pay it then. But we don't take our taxes and payment of it as seriously as the United States, you know. You know Snipes? He gone to jail for 3 years, blaming his lawyer, blaming his accountant. They say, no, it was your obligation. What I'm saying is they take that's how the FBI came into the equation. But nobody was inviting them, as it were. They were mentioning these possible breaches of American law in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
That's what that is about. And I don't think we need to be fooled enough to believe it didn't happen. I think it at least needs to be looked into. And if they say, no, none of our laws was breaking, that's the end of the matter.
So as far as you're concerned, you and the PLP, you all are up front and on top of this matter now, and you all have been able to prove in the public domain, I'm putting this to you now, I'm asking you this, that the whole thing was concocted by the FNM to hurt the PLP, but it backfired, and now you all feel exonerated to the point where you don't have no need to worry because the public can see that.
I wouldn't say the FNM concocted it. What I would say, some members of the FNM were deeply involved in the whole conspiracy theory. Because see, if and when you reach the point where you are alleged to have paid people to lie, that's a serious matter. That is a conspiracy to commit perjury. And when the police finishes their investigations, we don't know what will happen. I'm not interested in talking about it too much, you know, because the truth will come out at some point in time. And all of this fight came between two rich billionaires. And if this fight were between Bahamians, I wouldn't have a real problem, you know. You know what angers me? That rich people are using Bahamians against Bahamians.
Are you really angered about that?
If I am angry personally, well, I never got nothing from nobody.
No, I didn't say
no,
that.
I'm telling you, because that's why I'm angry.
Yeah.
Because I believe that Louis Bacon and Peter Nygaard, they are rich men. We welcome them into our country. But I do not believe neither of them have a right to get involved in our politics. None of them. Whether by paying people to get, you know, see, this is what angers me. Why should a rich man pay a poor man to destroy his brother? Something is wrong with that picture.
First thing was, it was never our fight. It was fight between two warring billionaires on our soil.
Yes.
That the information.
But it involves some of our politicians.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's the sad part about it.
Our politicians at some point
got used.
Yeah, well,
and paid.
I don't know if they were innocently used or they were used.
But anytime you're getting paid to do a work, you got to know what you're getting paid for. You can't be stupid enough to be paid to do something you don't know what you're doing. And if they tell me they were paid, but they were not paid, how could the chairman of the FNM claim innocence, that he was paid and he didn't know why?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Let me ask you a question. I hear what has happened, but what about the fact that Nygaard had mentioned some things on these videotapes that went viral.
Mhm.
And he did say some things that were not too
Well, he cursed out the PLP.
complimentary to
He
the.
cursed out the PLP for not doing what he thought they should be
I
doing.
saw what Bradley Roberts
but
says.
listen.
Bradley Roberts says that's indicative. Indicative of the fact that if the PLP was doing anything, he wouldn't have been so mad. And I hear that.
But you don't need to you don't need to contradict that.
Yeah, but
because
I'm
he's
contradicting what
angry
I'm
because
saying to you.
Christie and his government did not do what he thought they should do for him.
Yeah, but the
But
point
could
is
you
this.
imagine if Christie did do it?
But Mr. Gray, the
Yes,
point
sir.
is this.
So how did PLP get mixed up in this?
Mr. Gray, the point is this. No one from the side of the PLP, to my recollection, has said anything in defense of the Prime Minister or the PLP based upon this thing, this nonsense, as we would put it, that Mr. Nygaard was saying, and these uncomplimentary.
No, but Steve, with great respect, how do you defend the negative? If a fella cuss out Steve tomorrow, okay,
But if Steve
assuming,
if Steve has a cabinet of men,
yeah,
and members of his party, and they sit around the parliamentary table, they sit around the cabinet office.
yeah,
Steve may be expecting them to say, well, you know, we take exception to this because X, Y, Z. But what the FNM has been able to spin on you all, that you all don't seem to be acknowledging, is that because you all have said nothing, it means
no,
that
no,
this
no,
silence,
Steve, it would not be right to say nobody said nothing.
said nothing with
No,
regard to
but-
defending.
No,
the-
no,
the-
that's not
the-
true.
the integrity
That
of the
is
Prime
not true.
Minister. Well, you tell
That
me.
is not true.
You tell me.
There
Who
is
said
no
what?
cabinet minister who has not said Mr. Nygaard and his perception of our prime minister in words or otherwise is a stupid man to be thinking like that. But I am saying, we say he only was able to cuss out and talk badly about Christie because Christie did not bend to his wishes. We can't control how he thinks about Christie, but we don't. Certainly, if you're suggesting that we agree with what he say, is a kind of that's another stupid thinking. So what I'm saying is we don't want to be drawn into this fight over which we have no control. The way you think about Alfred Gray is not for others to defend. How you feel about me is a matter of your opinion. That's your business. That's on you. Why should your wife come to your rescue if you say that about Gray? No, man, it don't make sense. All we'll be doing is being drawn into a
But
fight.
you have already been drawn into the fight.
No,
The very fact
no,
that we're
no.
talking about this with this kind of energy
No,
tells
you
me
see-
that you have been drawn into the fight.
No, okay.
And your points must be salient points to be made to get the monkey off your back, because whether you, Mr. Christie, or the PLP likes it, understands it or not, but people are giving a perception that the PLP doing some bad things again. They corrupt this and the next thing.
But you know,
But how do you defend
Steve,
it? That's why I asked the
Steve,
question.
See,
The
it's
simple
not
question,
what people
why
say about
should
you
we
that
consider even putting the PLP back in office with this
Steve,
perception out there that
Steve,
you all are bad for business?
people will give the perception they want to give if they want to give it. Look at what the reality is, though. The fact is that the PLP has shown itself not to be corrupt. Despite getting a contribution from Nygaard, they gave him nothing in return. Now, how does corruption add into that? No, I want you to tell me.
No, corruption doesn't add into that.
Okay, the next thing I want to say is that
but let me, give me a chance.
you say
Let me
people
tell
think
you-
they corrupt in
Let
this.
me show you something.
Just tell me.
Let me show you something. You admit that the PLP got $5 million.
I don't know the figure.
The figure was $5
But they got a
The figure on
contribution.
record was $5 million.
Okay, I don't.
From Nygaard.
I didn't get any of
Nygaard
that.
ain't no Bahamian. Nygaard ought not to be involved in our politics, and he ought not to be given any contribution. And you all need not to be taking any. But that happened. Fine.
No, but how about Bacon giving
No,
me
but
that?
hold on. That ain't what I'm talking about.
No, but you have to mix the two.
Yeah, but listen.
No,
leave
no,
that
Steve,
alone for
Steve.
now. I'm going to get to that.
No, okay.
Mr. Gray.
All right.
Mr. Gray.
Let's go on. No, as long as you understand that both political parties got contribution from these two men who were
Mr.
fighting.
Gray, my dear friend, 2 wrongs will make one right.
No, but it's not wrong.
One jail
It's
will
not
make no
illegal.
prison.
No,
The point what I'm making to you is this. You all take the man $5 million.
Okay,
You ain't do nothing for him,
right.
right? And you say, well, it proves that we ain't corrupt because we take the money, but we didn't do anything for it. to say that he buy us out. But you take it knowing that kisses go by favor. The fella give you all something, he expects something. I didn't say you all do nothing enough. The perception is if you take the man money, you must be can do something for him at that level of $5 million. He, after all, was making noise about it. We knew of stem cell. We saw the first act that the PLP government made when they came into power was they went to the parliament, and the first thing they did was what? Pass the bill on stem cell research.
Right.
That's the first thing.
What's wrong with that? So,
nothing is wrong with that.
Okay.
Perception, I'm saying,
Yes.
could be that you get the man $5 million, you pass a stem cell thing, but you didn't go far enough to do some other things.
No, that's Steve, you got this so mixed up. No, but I'm trying to give you the straightened side of this perception you have.
I'm only trying to tell you, no, I don't have the perception.
Okay.
I'm telling you the public's perception.
Okay.
That's what they've been saying.
Okay.
I'm saying to you, if that is not the case, it certainly lends to this idea that maybe the PLP them crooked because they take this man money, knowing that the man expecting something. They bragging that they ain't gained nothing. They feel good that they didn't because now what if they gained something? The man would have had something on them. But now it is that's just a perception. But that's what I'm talking about, perception.
Yeah, but
reality.
Steve, I could be perceived to be a sissy. Does that make me a sissy?
No.
Good. Now I'm saying to you this, very simple.
Hmm.
If they say, because NIGAD gave a contribution to the PLP, which is acknowledged, and that makes the PLP corrupt, then what do you say about a man who...
That makes them corrupt as well. There's no...
The point I'm making is
no
this.
exception.
But nobody is saying that. See, everything... No, I certainly have never heard it on your show that even you said the FNM is also corrupt for having taken money. No, because when contributions are given, it's given to a political organization. It might be a winning one, it may be a losing one, but all of the contributions before elections are the same. So if the FNM can take it, what makes the PLP corrupt if they take it? See, that's the problem I have with this. If the PLP was corrupt, and I want to hear you say it too, if the PLP was corrupt for taking a contribution, using those same words, it will be fair to say the FNM was corrupt too.
I thought you listened to hard copy all the time.
No, I do. Not every
We
not
say
everyone,
exactly what we mean. And
so
this is what we said.
So would that change the perception then to leave only the PLP that is seemingly corrupt in that fiasco?
No. The thing is this.
What do you see? I'm asking you a question.
I'm telling you, I'm answering you.
Okay.
The PLP is the governing body.
Yeah, but when they got the contribution, all of them were fighting to become the government.
Mr. Gray, that doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't?
You're looking at something else. I'm telling you what is perceived as the corruption now.
All right.
This new thing that came out that you claimed that Mr. Minutes tabled and it backfired, boomerang on it. Fine.
Right.
But the governing party is the Progressive Liberal Party.
Yeah.
They are the party led by Mr. Christie. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
Follow my trend. This same party that won, that was friendly with NIGAD, that was affiliated with NIGAD, that got the stem cell research moving for the perception, NIGAD, is now accused of not following up on their deal by the very man, NIGAD, who was cussing and not saying nothing good about Christie because he figured that he should have been fixed up and dealt with. That's what I'm saying. See,
Okay.
All
Steve.
of that may not add up to a hill of beans, but because the perception is that this group of people did this to this man, took this man money, and in bed with this man who the country believes is not good for the country, even though he believes differently.
Okay, Steve.
They affiliate the PLP with corruption on that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's
For right
very
or for
wrong.
wrong.
That's very wrong. Because if you say to me that accepting gifts from, not gifts, political contributions from NIGAD and Bacon are wrong, I'll accept that. But the law permits it. Is what you do in consequence of that contribution that will be corrupt.
I cannot argue with you on that.
And I'm saying,
I cannot
if
argue.
you look at the facts, not what political pundits say, if you look at the hard facts and you find an element of corruption, show me. I will be right here waiting for you and anybody else to show me the corruption involved in it. and there will
I
be
cannot,
none.
I cannot show you the evidence of corruption involved. I can only tell you about the perception.
No, I heard you.
And that's what I was talking about when I said
that.
What I
All I'm
said,
saying
the perception is, that's all I'm saying.
And I'm saying I want to dispel that perception.
Yeah.
Because anybody could call, and remember I use myself for sissy. They could say that.
Mhm.
But I am more man than many men put together.
Yeah.
Having said
And
that,
that's a strong point that you have.
the point I'm
Because
making,
we know
though,
that we know how you go.
the point I'm making,
Can I
though,
say it? We
yes.
know that if it came to Gray being soft or Gray being a nailer, most people would take
I
next
don't
to his
know what a
name.
nail is,
Nailer.
man. I don't get involved in the things. I am just saying the
Well, I read that
perception.
there.
No, but truth be told, Steve,
Mhm.
we have a country to build.
Mhm.
And it is not fair for people to label any party corrupt simply because they want to say so. There's got to be something that ties
So we have
a
got to make
party
a concerted
or a
effort, Mr.
government
Gray.
to corruption.
We've got to make the concerted effort to have campaign finance reform.
No, I agree
I
with
talk
you.
about that every time. I'm tired of talking about it.
Me and you agree on that. We don't need to even debate
We
that.
need to have
But when
campaign
you
finance
hear
reform.
people talk about people being corrupt, man, Steve, they could call ministers corrupt too, because ministers started to say in that same tabling at Parliament that ministers of the government got money until we objected and he had to withdraw it because he was seeking to paint a picture. But it boomerang. And who's laughing now?
Well, I don't know who's laughing, but I know who is not laughing.
All right.
And I can tell you, ministers cannot be laughing because I said to my audience, Copy Nation, that how ministers allowed this whole thing that he brought to be turned around, and now it got him in a stranglehold, is kind of interesting. And that's one of the reasons why it perhaps does not look too good in their dilemma right now with where they're going with the elections of a chairman, with a convention and all. But that's another story for another day. I will tackle Mr. Minnis if he wants to come on the show to deal with that. Let me take a call here, Gray, because we don't want to lose the time. And
Yes,
we just
I'm
getting
sorry.
started.
Yes.
Hi, Copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Brother. How you doing?
Oh, I don't need you to call me today, brother. Mr. Gray can handle himself, okay?
I'm not calling a comment for Mr. Gray. I'm calling a comment for Antoine.
For who?
For me, myself, as a Bahamian.
Man, April Fool and gone, you're fooling me now.
Brother McGinney, I want to make a correction as it relates to the stem cell that you were stating the government of the Bahamas passed in relation to NIGA. That's not so. As a matter of fact, it was the leader of the opposition, Dr. Minnis, who botched up the entire stem cell situation by approving a stem cell facility in Freeport, I think. I don't remember the name, but I'm certain minister should know, right?
You gotta remember the name. See, that ain't where I going today. All I was doing was making a point of what is the perception, Mr. Gray. Finally, he understands what I'm talking about. That this perception of Mr. Nygaard giving money, and where there's no empirical evidence of it, that there was also the first thing passed was a bill for stem cell research. Mr. Gray acknowledges that. He asks, what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with it in the eyes of those who perceive it, they perceive that something untoward happened.
No, but
that's what I was saying.
Anton is so correct. If we look at the history of the stem cells events in the Bahamas, stem cells did not come to the Bahamas after the NIGAD contribution, because Mr. Minnis, the former Minister of Health, passed or gave license for a stem cell facility in the Bahamas without having laws to do so. That's what we did. We regularized and put in place the law by which such application could be made. In other words, what we did was fix what he botched up. It had nothing to do with NIGAD. Yeah, now, NIGAD had an interest in it. No, it would not be untrue to say that NIGAD had an interest in stem cells being brought into the Bahamas to cure people and help people, old age people. No, NIGAD was very, very instrumental in educating, in my view, a lot of people about stem cells, because he
certainly was.
And I'm saying his putting the Bahamas in the forefront of the stem cells movement is not an understatement, because I believe it is true to say that he did speak to the government about stem cells. But stem cells did not come about as a result of NIGAD,
I hate it.
because it was already given license to by Minister himself when he's Minister of Health,
On a
but
bunch
had
of
no
things
law
that had no
to
law.
support it. Now, how do you say to his credit that that's good?
It's not good.
It's a foolish thing he did.
Yeah,
And we
but-
try to fix it, and now
That
they
was not
blame
what
us.
I was debating.
No, I understand. They trying to connect stem cells to NIGAD. I am saying stem cells started with Menace. How do you disconnect that when he gave the first license?
It's not relevant to what I'm talking about. I was giving you the idea and the concept of what this perception was as to why there was this affiliation with NIGAD through stem cells.
And I was trying to show you that there was no connection between stem cells and NIGAD, because stem cells was already in the Bahamian government repertoire. The only thing we did was to put the law in place, which Menace did not have in place when he gave the first license.
It's quite interesting. Very
Now, how do you say that that has something to do with NIGAD?
quite interesting.
You said Menace had something to do with NIGAD too?
No, quite
Okay,
interesting what
so-
you're saying. Hard copy, how are you?
People just
Good
want to.
afternoon, Mr. McKinney.
Peace and love. How are you?
I'm good. Listening to your show and listening to Mr. Gray, I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Gray. It's obviously Mr. Gray's about the PLP government, and they delusional to think that everything is all right, and the public perception of them is good, and they're going to walk back in office and think that Mr. Perry Christie is the best man right now for the job. Mr. Gray, what about the public access to the beach over the Paradise Island? What are you guys doing about that?
Okay, could you give me one by one?
Who is going now? How much more billions of dollars are we going to spend on this? And it's the person that initially built it without insurance after Brave David said that he has insurance to cover it. Who is going to pay this money back to us? What is the real figures about this carnival done last year? We still haven't gotten the final results. We need forensic other than that. You haven't said how much money you'll spend on carnival again this year. Again.
Okay, so that's three different things.
Economic empowerment.
Ramsey.
We want a one-night company. We want food security, so we have to be importing all this garbage that we eat every day, making our people obese every day.
Okay.
Another thing, public safety. We are living in the fear of crime, Mr. Gray. You guys are living in a shade somewhere underground because you guys are totally clueless and you guys are lost.
Okay.
In the past 4 years, Mr. Gray, what tangible thing this PLP government that you here talking about today has done for this country? Another thing, NIGAD and the other guys, the residents, you here talking about them and the payment people here. Y'all people who say y'all love, you're doing a better way for us. Here suffering, no jobs, no opportunities. We don't work, the foreigners ruling us, tell us what to do.
Okay.
What are you guys doing, please, sir?
All right, I got your questions. You wanted three. You got about 8 inside there. Beach access, BAMSI, and Carnival is what he talked about. Initially, public safety and tangible jobs and all that. But what about if you were going to answer those quickly, the beach access and we're going to cover these things. So, you can answer them now. I can move on, get other questions.
Well, I just want to, if I could quickly speak to the Paradise Island matter.
Yeah.
The Paradise Island matter, as you know, Steve, if you've done your research, is a matter in which the government is involved in seeking to find a resolution.
Yes.
It is a legal matter.
Yeah.
The people who closed the access owned the land. It wasn't a public access to begin with. They were allowed use of the access by the owners.
A lot of people question that right there, but go on.
No, but see, you got to put the law in perspective. You can't tell people, Steve allowed me to walk over his yard every day, shortcut to my house, and one of these days the yard gonna be mine. If I allow you to cross over my yard, that don't make it your yard.
No.
I am saying the people allowed access over their property for years. That is what happened. The land over which they were going and crossing never belonged to the government, never belonged to the people. It was a private property. They exercised their right to close it. That's a legal matter. I'm not going to get involved. The government is now seeking to do one of two things. One is to prevail on them to sell the government the property over which the people had been passing for years, to make it a public property, or do what the government could do, is acquire it by public acquisition. But I don't want people to be jumping up and down to think that these people did something that is illegal and the government allow it. That's private land over which the people had been passing over for years. And I'm sure they felt that they had a right to do it.
When you say for years, Mr. Gray,
yes.
How many years are you talking about?
My understanding, long before I got into politics, for more than 30 years.
Yeah, well, you know, that particular area.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, but listen now.
Yeah.
That particular area is considered public access by right of way because from the time that the people have been crossing that land, it has always been established as a public access. The Attorney General now is beginning to say something along the lines that maybe the public access went out the window from the 1700s or whatever that means. But from you could remember yourself being a man, and most people in this country, that land was public access. Let me show you something. There has never been any public announcement to prohibit anyone from crossing that particular path to go to the beach in 40 plus years.
Would you be surprised, Steve, would you be surprised if I told you that the public used that access? It never belonged to.
I hear what you said.
See, but you got to look at the law and the facts. If the law gives you a piece of property, it's your property. People who might have been allowed to walk across your property for years, and the one day you close it, doesn't give them a right to it. That's all I'm saying. So the government is trying to find a solution to a legal problem.
I understand that.
So we can't jump up like the average Bahamian on the street and make noise. We are trying to work it out so that they could have legal and proper access to it. And I gave you the two options the government have. But I don't want people to say the government allowed. No.
We talked about
if you close your gate, which was open for years to the public, if it's your gate, nobody could floor you for closing your gate.
Yeah, but the question remains, how come this happened when a transaction took place in 2014 of June?
Because the new owners, the new owners, let me repeat it. The new owners bought it and they don't want people crossing over. And I think it's hard, it's bad. But see, I am not going to sit here and tell you, oh, the government has the right. No, the government has no right to that property more than John Q.
Well,
but the government is working it out.
Yeah, members of your government are now working.
We are working it out
to make sure that
access return to the Bahamian people. And I think they should get some credit for that. Well, but instead of credit, no, this guy who called you just now seek to make the government the villain.
The government got credit for it.
No, you will probably.
No, people call the show. We had a show on it last night. The show played early today. We had a show on it last night about what is happening.
Well, he didn't hear that show then. Does he sound like the government did something wrong?
Let's move on. Don't be so harsh in trying to defend the government.
I have to.
Say your.
No, your show is a popular show, and when it gets out there, it's too late.
Listen, this is great.
Yes.
What about the gentleman asked about Bamsey? I've got all my lines are full.
Oh, Bamsey?
Yeah.
See, because there was a fire, there was no insurance to that building. He seek to believe that Bamsey is either a waste of money, a waste of time. Listen, acknowledgements are always healthy. There was a fire. The building was not insured. We have now corrected all of the other 14 buildings. Why they don't talk about 14 standing and 1 burned? I mean, see, if you're going to put the plus with the minus, at least put them both together and let the Bahamian people.
So you got 14 buildings
standing,
doing good,
and 1 burned.
But Bamsey is a very good
idea. And then they say Bamsey is a waste of the people's funds.
No,
How is that so?
Let me just say, so that you would know.
Yeah.
The Hard Copy Nation believes that Bamsey is a good idea. The management of Bamsey, the way that things have happened, had not been handled properly, and that's all a part of your poor PR and poor public relations coming out from.
Agreed.
But the point is, we believe, I'm a man believing in feeding ourselves, and I think food security and all that.
Well, I got that as one of our pluses in government. And I have 11 things.
Yeah.
I listed them.
Good. We can
I
let
hope
you-
I will have a
You
chance
can run down your
to
list.
tell you the 11 things that
You
I
will.
put on my
You will,
notes while I
because-
came here.
Because my question today is, why should we even consider?
That's why
Returning the PLP to
11
office.
things I can tell you about
All right,
will be 11 reasons
no problem.
compared to the
You
FNM
remind-
zero.
You remind me of an
Zilch.
ad that was done some years ago. 10 reasons why you should vote PLP.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was some years ago.
And
when things were
listen,
good.
when you compare 4 years of the PLP with 15 of the FNM, listen, the PLP is a progressive government.
Hold your thought, Mr. Gray.
Okay.
I've got calls. Hard copy, how are you?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kenny.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gray, as well.
Good afternoon, my friend.
Mr. Gray, you're one of my favorite PLP MPs, to be honest.
You're so kind. Thank you, man.
You and the first case.
Oh, you mean Miller? Okay. He's my friend too.
Two questions, Mr. Gray. My first question is, when last have you and your colleagues in the PLP have disclosed, because this is constitutionally
Have disclosed?
Yeah.
Oh,
disclosed?
you mean
Financial
the
disclosure.
annual financial disclosure?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I have done mine. I sent mine in on the 12th of March.
I want to know if any of your other colleagues have disclosed. And secondly, to be honest with you, I've been listening to the stem cell debate, and I think that you have to remember that stem cell comes in stages. So there's different stages of stem cell. I don't think it's quite fair to blame Mr. Bennett. To be honest, I support the FNM and I support Mr. Bennett. And I try hard that Mr. Bennett was somehow confused by his colleagues in the FNM to bring that affidavit to Parliament, because in this country,
He's the leader, man. He's the leader.
in 2012, both parties came to us and say that one say they believe me, the next one say they want to deliver. But in our midterm budget, you are balance over 2 billionaires who can have candlelight dinners while the bigger people seem to be suffering, have no jobs, school is coming to an end in June, and now you have, in our country, we do not know how much immigrants are being allowed to permit in our own country, and it seems that nobody cares. And I get both parties wrong, to be honest with you, and I think that the EM people should just vote for minutes and no over nobody else.
So so I hear you. I hear that. And that's fine. That's your bias. But let me ask you this question. Do you see any reason why you should not put the PLP back? I mean, after all, Mr. Gray says they're the most stable of all the parties that are around. They're the most progressive. They're the most stable. They're the best semblance of government, and they are in the chair now. And if you give them a chance, they'll get it right. He's saying there's no other party to put there. What do you say?
Well, let's be honest. If Mr. Gray said he confirmed that he has disclosed of public disclosure, which is constitutionally,
Yes, sir.
which is a basic thing that you have to do once you're in Parliament. And for his other colleagues not to do it, I think that for something so basic in our country that are not to follow in the country, I think that how is it that if you can't do the basic things, why should the being people allow you to stay there to do the more complex things?
Okay,
Not do
good.
the basic things.
I got you.
No, but caller, let's face it. Disclosure has to be done by both the government and the opposition. If you can tell me every other MPs have done it other than PLPs, then you may have a point. But maybe you should check to see whether the leadership of the FNM and all the MPs in the FNM have disclosed, and then we may have a discussion. I only can speak for me, because I don't know who in my own party disclosed. That ain't my problem. The disclosure commissioner will have to tell us who have filed their disclosure.
Is there a deadline?
The deadline is the 31st of March.
Of March.
And I
You
told
did
you,
yours on
on
Friday.
the 12th of March.
The 12th. You did yours on
12th of March,
Right.
which is about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Certainly, I beat the deadline by 2 weeks. And I am saying I can only defend my name. I'm in politics, and I don't intend for anybody to smear my name unduly. So if he could tell me that FNMs have done it, the PLPs haven't done it, then we can have a discussion. But don't ask me if the PLP did and didn't tell me if the FNM did.
All
So
right.
go do your homework, bro,
Hard copy, how are
and
you?
call me back.
Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, how are you? Okay, nobody's there. Hard copy, how are you? Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening. Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
I have a question for Minister Gray. During the campaign, the major promises that they made to the Bahamian public was that they were going to go in there and they were going to tackle crime. And they were going to come up with this really great mortgage relief. However, the first thing the PLP government did when they got into governance is pass the stem cell. And then they passed the gambling referendum debacle thing that happened. And these two people, I'm sorry, sorry, let me start over. They apparently received campaign contributions from NIGARD, and they received campaign contributions from the Number Boys. Now, I'm not saying the F&M didn't do it, and they didn't get something. They probably did. But the perception is, the major things that you went in there for to do was for your people who gave your campaign contributions. That's the perception. You didn't go in there for the Bahamian people. You went in there for yourselves and for the people who gave your party. Hello?
Yeah, we're listening to you. Go ahead. Are you through?
Yeah, I'm through. I'd like to hear him respond.
Yes,
Okay.
Madam,
Thanks.
in
Go ahead.
4 years, are you saying that the PLP went in there to do two things? That's a joke. And I think you ought to apologize publicly for saying that. The PLP has just recently introduced the National Health Insurance Scheme and intends to bring it about for the Bahamian people, those who are less fortunate amongst us. The PLP has just a couple of months ago improved the minimum wage from $150 to $240, increased by $60 a week. That's for the small man. You saying we weren't elected to do that? Are you saying that the CLECO unfortunate members or what you call it, those people who work, the government has decided to spend millions of dollars to make those people good again? Are you saying that's not something good that the government did for the poor people of our country? Are you saying, ma'am, that the lowering of the light bill, I saw, Steve, my bill went from $599 to $330 in 3 months. Is that not lowering the bill for the average Bahamian? Is that not something good? I'm just going to say a few things, and I want that caller to call me back. She mentioned two things, crime and the gambling. The gambling was something that we could not do anything about. The referendum was a no vote. These people went to court. The court said we couldn't do it. And in fact, the license for those gamblers were given by the F&M. They were operating with license, you know. We only regularized it, but she don't want to touch that because the F&M gave them the license and they were operating illegally, not illegally, with license, but irregularly.
But what do you say about the referendum that happened? The people voted no, and that's still.
But the Supreme Court said we couldn't stop the people.
On what? On
not licensing them, because they had a license. We couldn't revoke it. You didn't read the Supreme Court matter on that?
I read the
you
Supreme
really
Court
need
matter.
to see that.
No,
so what I'm saying
the
is,
Supreme Court matter was a point of technical point based upon a license. And
whatever it was, the police could not close them down.
The government of the Bahamas imposed upon the Bahamian people something,
a referendum
the results of the referendum that they ought to have on it. They didn't do it. They went against what
Steve, that is not true. That is not true.
What is true?
I am saying to you, the results of the referendum was very clear. Those who voted, the 34% of the Bahamian people voted no. The government advised the Commissioner of Police to close these number houses down. That was what the government had to do as a result of the referendum. They did that. The police commissioner sought to do what the law required him to do, and the people went to court. The court stopped the commissioner of police from enforcing what they believe was the law. That's how that went.
That's the story. You're sticking to it, right?
I have to stick to that until I know otherwise. It's not like the commissioner didn't try.
That's Mr.
But
Gray's
the Supreme
story.
Court, no, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the gamblers. So what do you do?
In
Go to
favor-
jail now?
In favor of them.
The
having
number
their
of people.
license.
I just said the number of people.
All
So
right.
when that happens, what do you do?
Mr. Gray, I want to remind
I'm
you.
asking you,
Mr.
what
Gray,
do you
I
do?
want to remind you
Yes.
that you're on the public record.
Yes, I am saying the people whose places were being cited for closure went to court, and the court ruled in their favor. That's the truth.
And so the commissioner of police couldn't close them down.
Not against the court order. How you can do it?
But the point what is being made here is that the people as a group, whether you call it 34%, 44%, a low voter turnout. This was a referendum.
So you saying, Steve, the
I'm
gambling
telling you what
men
I'm
did not
saying.
have any rights to go to court?
No, I'm not saying that.
I say they went to court
I'm
and the
saying to
court
you-
supported them.
But I'm saying to you that the people voted no in the referendum.
Right.
To be upheld as a matter of, this is an official thing that
I
happened in the
understand
country of
you.
Bahamas.
I understand you.
And the government brought this to referendum.
Right.
The people voted no against it.
Right.
Christie then did not honor that no.
In what way?
Well, if they say, if no was no, we would not have these number shops around.
But Steve, you have to remember that both sides has rights. The people
Yes,
who
of course,
no,
both
the
sides
yes
have
vote,
rights.
no, the yes campaigners had rights. The no campaigners had rights.
Mhm.
When the no vote prevailed, the yes vote people, all these number houses, they went to court.
They went to court.
You're saying they had no right to go to court?
No, I'm not saying
But
that.
that's the way it turned out.
That's the way it's so.
They went to court.
So the PLP just
The court.
removed themselves.
No,
from
the
ruling.
government is
And this
subject to
is
the
something-
court.
This is something that
No,
happened.
but how could the
by
government
means
not
of
be
the court.
subject to the court? You tell me.
No.
You just saw Save the Bay trying to jail Christie for not carrying out a court order to move some dolphins? What I'm trying to say to you, the Supreme Court is the court by which every man, woman, and child is subjected. And if they say you can't do it, what do? You help me answer that, because I don't know how I could explain any better.
No, well, I said that you're on the public record.
I am standing by that.
Yes, and I'm saying that there's other viewpoints on that the story don't go so.
But then, no,
But the point is.
unless I am corrected,
You're on the record.
no, if you find the
No,
truth,
My job.
let me know what
my
the truth
job
is.
is to talk with you.
no, but you're a journalist.
Yes, that's
Find out what the truth
So
is.
my job is to talk with you.
And if
your
you say the
version-
people didn't go to
Your
court,
version,
then I know
your
you
version,
didn't
Mr.
read
Gray,
the record.
your version of the truth is this, that you stand by what you say.
Yes,
I
sir.
have that on the record. I'm
Yes, sir.
satisfied. All right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. I'm satisfied.
Now, there's one other thing.
Hard copy, hold
Oh.
on. Hard copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Steve.
Yes, how are you?
I'm glad you bring Mr. Gray on. I'm not on their support. I can't wait for 2007 to vote them out. Okay? Get some licking on him this evening, boy. He shouldn't come on the show this evening.
Why? Well, Gray can handle all this. This is no big deal for Gray. It's a walk in the park.
That's okay. I know he can handle it, but they can't do it on the 17th, okay? I can't wait for them to go.
The 17th. Oh, you mean in 2017?
Yeah,
So you wouldn't suggest that we put the PLV back based on how they've been performing?
Steve, I mean, look at your PLP person.
So put them.
I wonder if she supported us the last time.
No, darling. No, darling.
Well, we ain't losing your vote.
Oh, that's okay.
We just ain't gonna get it, and that you have a right. See, no.
Yeah, but you're
See,
going to lose for the vote on this.
Ma, listen.
Don't-
The
don't-
PLP
listen to me now.
has a
I want
record.
to talk in and let me talk.
No. I was only saying to you, ma'am,
But
the
what
PLP
happens-
has a record on which it intends to campaign.
Can't wait for 2017 to vote you all out.
But ain't nothing we could do good for you anyway. So I mean, that's okay.
Don't listen to the tape. You don't listen to the tape service, but putting him had yesterday and how bad he talk with you all.
Who?
Morrison.
Well, Morrison campaign every Sunday.
That's okay. All right. I go listen to that. Go listen to the tape because this is the tape service.
No. Morrison has his own agenda, and we respect him.
But you all have your own agenda too.
Yeah, but we are politicians.
You're only going because you all say you're going to get you for the mortgage and take you lose out. You don't people lose out on each other.
Keep on waiting, baby. You're gonna see the mortgage relief come soon, and I hope you will change your mind.
No, I have my hope. I just pay for this.
No. I hope when we do the mortgage relief, you will come back and say, "Great boy, you all did it."
Boy, I can say, boy, Gray, that's not yours, okay?
All right.
That's not yours. I can't wait to laugh at yours.
Keep on waiting,
Nice to
my
meet you.
dear. Keep on waiting.
Cool. Hard copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Steve. How you doing?
We Alfred Gray is with me today. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, you doing, bro?
I'm all right, but I was the one who voted for you all last time, and the sixth time I voted in the last elections, the very sixth elections I voted 5 of those times I voted
y'all will not get my vote this time because y'all have failed the Bahamian people in every which way, I just have a few questions, if you would permit me. I was trying to find out for some time now, y'all were going to take the Bahamian people tax dollars and pay CECO pensioners for, I've really been trying to investigate that, and I think that's something that you had just alluded to just now. Are you all going to take the Bahamian people tax dollars and pay CECO insurance holders? Is it true?
Well, if we're gonna take the people's tax dollars to pay the, yes, it's going to be, no, let me explain it. The former government, which you will now support, no problem, they made the commitment to guarantee $30 million to anybody who will buy the portfolio of the CLECO insurers. Do you know that?
No, that's why I'm asking you.
No, I'm trying to tell you. I mean, do you accept that?
Well, I think I heard.
And if they did that, no, when they made that pledge, do you think they were going to take it out of their pocket? No.
So how unfair is that, though? I mean,
no. What I'm saying is
very unfair.
No, I'm trying to show you that both governments intended to secure the CLECO policyholders with public funds. But it's wrong for, you see, there's a different standard when it comes to the PLP.
Man, he ain't accused you of nothing. He asked.
No. He said, we have done nothing. We have failed the Bahamian people. He never said how, he never said why. I'm trying to. No, he's asking if we're going to pay it from public fund. I said, yes. Yeah. That's the first thing I said. And I tried to show him why. That's why I brought in the former government. Okay. Because he's saying he's supporting them. As if,
so he has said that the monies will come from the public first.
Yes.
It is coming from the public, and he's not incorrect. It was something that the former government had said. We have that on the record, so that's a fact. But you wanted to ask something else.
Yes, sir. Mr.
Gray.
Mr. Gray, I really don't see how you all can win this election coming up. I
No
mean, granted, the F&M is in the turmoil they in, but when you look at all the facts, I mean, the unemployment, all the mistakes, the Bamsi project, I just really want to know how you all expect to win this election. You all can put some rabbits or some honey.
No, sir. Let me ask you this. Bamsi has, and I just was telling Mr. McKinney, I don't know if you were listening to the show along. Bamsi has a total of about 14 plus buildings on that site. One building burned down. You think we should lose the election because of that?
No. I'm talking.
No, but you brought that up.
You all also promised when you all was campaigning, Christie promised to license a new carrier during this term in office.
License a new carrier for what?
A cell phone. Okay?
Failed
to do that. We've been suffering under BTC with these high charges and these high rates. Your Christie promised to alleviate some stress from the Bahamian people by licensing a new carrier. And today, I'm still waiting on that, and that still has not been.
No, but you know, I don't know you, sir, but you sound.
You have not fulfilled your campaign promises.
No, but sir, we have a year plus left in our term in office. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Why don't you give us no? Why? No, but you see, if you're not willing for the government to have the next 14 months to do some of the things that has not yet done, then your mind is made up even before we had a chance to do or not to do. So what I'm saying is we are not in a position to say that we did everything, but allow us to continue to govern as we have been elected to do. And when election time comes and we put out on the table what we did, it may not change your mind. It may not change your mind, but it will definitely include some of the things that you're worried about.
Okay. Appreciate your call, sir. I've got to run to break. All these lines are full, and so let me just take one more call before the break. Hi, Copy. How are you?
Good evening, Steve. How you doing?
Peace. All is well. Yes, he's listening to you.
Steve, if the truth be told, like it was mentioned, right? We talking truth now.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, yes, we have 48 buildings in Bamsi. Look at Bamsi. 1 building burned down, right? But let's say the truth about Bamsi. I work there. I don't want to hear no political
rhetoric, what the people want to hear, or what no lawyers come tell me. You said that the truth be told. You said political parties are not corrupt. Let the truth be told. You also said, Mr. Gray, that what's the deal? What's the deal about that Bahama project? Let the truth be told.
What?
Let the truth be told.
Which project is this?
Saying that you think people just only want to hear and water it up. Why is it that the people, the 735 people at Malaya, are being treated like slaves? And this government, you talk with this government coming back in the governance, Mr. Gray, if you all get 2 seats, something wrong with that. That's my price.
All right, okay. All right.
Well, so you have some issues which I don't know about, and maybe you're right in every aspect, but Malia's issue, and I mean, you just went from one place to the other. I'm not sure why you stopped at Bamsey and didn't say much about it. I guess you saw you didn't have much there to hold on to. And then you went on to Malia. I know that there are some tips that I'm told the owners have not paid over, and I think the government, through the Ministry of Labor, they're trying to work that out, but that's a private matter. See, everybody expects the government to be draconian in its behavior and not be measured. The government can't be like the opposition. We have to be measured in what we do because we are the government. And so when you see things happening or not happening.
How you didn't remember that when you was beating up this man is really talking all that nonsense the other day?
What nonsense?
That if he want that he don't watch himself, he be put in this country.
No, you can't say.
Yeah, Mr. Gray. No, see, I say you say you have to be measured.
No,
you have to be measured.
Yes,
I agree.
Yes.
But
yes.
what happened to this whole concept of being measured when all that nonsense happened?
No, the only thing.
Any investor coming in have to have their head examined and all this. Come on, Mr. Gray.
I heard that.
I mean, you know,
but see,
let's be consistent.
Steve, the point I'm making is when a person of Mr. Ismailian's stature speaks to the Bahama issue and sought to blame the government for it, when the government has nothing to do with it, that's a reaction, in my view,
an unfortunate
to that. It might have been an unfortunate one. Depends on who is listening and who's talking. But you see, everybody has a right to speak. And if you're going to blame Steve or blame Alfred for something he has nothing to do with, somebody got to defend it. And I'm saying, poor Mr. Christie, he has been trying endlessly to bring some successful conclusion to Bahama.
Mr. Christie has no say about it.
Exactly, but the point I'm making, they trying to blame him for it. They blame him for the stoppage of the work rather than blame these private business people. And that's not right. But somebody got to tell the story.
I was only making the point, Mr. Gray. Hard copy, how are you? Hi there. Hard copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Gray. How you doing?
Very good, sir.
It's very disappointing to hear a level of conversation on your show with the minister just throwing blame here and blame there and saying this because the F&M did that. That is not what the Beeman people want to hear.
Well, Mr. Minister is basically expressing himself as he sees fit based upon all the stuff that they've been inundated with.
And I'm defending my government. I have a right to do that, sir. And I
been elected on that kind of point.
No, but every point that was made to Mr. McKinney on his show are the points that I have been talking to. Now, if you say people have a right to criticize, but we don't have a right to defend, I don't think that's fair.
If you'd like to make a call.
All right. Tell you what, I'm going to run. Those of you holding the lines, please hold the lines. I want you to get your question in with Mr. Gray. And appreciate that Mr. Gray is here to defend his government and show a reason why they should be reelected. And you may not agree, and if you don't agree, just put your points together succinctly. And when I come back, you can say to Mr. Gray, here's why I don't think that you should be reelected, and you can state your points. And of course, Mr. Gray also has some other things that he's going to share with us today. The 11 big points of the things that they've accomplished that some people may have overlooked. And that may be a two-way street. Overlooked because they've not been reading about it, and overlooked because the public in the public relations of the PLP party has not been what it ought to be. And again, somebody has renamed Bradley Roberts Dr. Roberts, and that is Paul Moss who called him that, because thank God for Mr. Roberts, the PLP is still looking alive and
kicking because of the many things that he has had to say in their defense and the kind of onslaught that he's brought upon the Free National Movement. But that's a story that we'll tackle when we come back here this evening on Hard Copy. 325-0235 or 6. Hold the lines. Don't go off because you want to get yours in. I promise you'll do that in a minute. Everything is fine,
I
man.
love it, man. You can't go to
Welcome back to Hard Copy. V. Alfred Gray is with me today. And of course, V. Alfred is vigorously and rigorously making sure that people in the country know that he supports the government in 1,000,000% and will defend them to the end of the road because he believes that they're the best thing for the country at this time, the best entity. And I can see why, because the Free National Movement looks hapless. They have not been showing any signs of life. They seem to be having serious internal problems. And while that's happening, people question the traction of the DNA if they're getting anywhere with trying to get legitimate candidates and all that ready. And when I say legitimate, I talk about candidates that people kind of like know, not very popular candidates, but people who people can know and say, well, they're a credible list of candidates. And then, of course, there is a whole convergence happening, and that may be the best alternative because based upon the assessment by the Hard Copy Nation, if in fact the PLP continues to be caught up in this kind of dilemma that they are in, even though Gray says there's nothing to worry about, and it's just perception, but the facts will show that they're not a corrupt party. And if the F&M continues to falter the way they have been faltering, with Minnis putting his foot in his mouth, and making all these mistakes and has opened up a can of worms that may never be able to close or never be able to digest. This may be the serious elimination of both those big political giants in the minds of Bahamians. I said maybe. Maybe the people just say, oh, what the heck? Go with the PLP because at least they're in the government, let them continue. And this may be the best option because these other fellows just ain't got it together. So we as a country really are in a dilemma, you know, if you really think of it. Would people trust a new group of people coming along and say, hey, give us a chance, it's us? Or would they say, we're going to stick with the traditional party that has been around the longest? And while they may be having some mistakes, well, people rationalize and reason with themselves that they may be making some mistakes, but the truth is, this is all dirty politics that people say they've done things wrong. But have we gotten anything done? Have they done anything in the last 5 years? And if that question comes up before I go to the line, then I ask that to Gray, if you had to go on the record as to what the PLP would have done or got accomplished in this term thus far, what would be those things?
Well, listen, Phil, I started to say to you, and I'm going to repeat myself, and I'm going to go through the 11 things that I listed just on my way here. We speak to the national health insurance issue, and I guarantee you every poor Bahamian, I say poor, because this may not benefit the rich because they can afford to pay for their sick pay or whatever. But for the average man on the street, that's going to be part of the PLP legacy. That's going to happen before the next election. We also, and I have to repeat, minimum wage. Minimum wage was never meant for the rich. It was meant to improve the life of the poor fellow who was making $150 a week. Now he's making $240 a week. I'm sorry, $210 a week. Let me correct that. An increase of $60 per week. $60 per week could feed some little family, maybe one or two. So that increase is enough to feed his family and save the $150 he made previously. Then we talk about the CLICO. I'm not going to repeat that, but for some, that is a lifesaver. And the government is spending about $16 million to put those people's lives back together, as was promised by the previous government in a different way. But nonetheless, commitment was made to put public funds behind securing these people. And then, Mr. McKinney, I also mentioned that the light bill, which affects everybody, is going down. There's no contradiction about that. I said my own light bill went from 500 and something in 3 months to 300 and something, a decrease of about $200 in less than 2 months. If that's not helpful, then I don't know what is helpful. Then we talk about BAMSI. BAMSI is the best thing that has ever happened to this country in the last 50 years. At least it is an attempt of this government. The fire, we acknowledge that. But BAMSI is alive and well. It's the concept of BAMSI that people should celebrate, that we are trying to feed ourselves through the the starting up of the BAMSI movement. And any intelligent person who could say BAMSI is a waste of time, you need to check their head on that. That's another part of the legacy of the PLP. Then foreign investment. If you listen to Mr. Christie over the last 3 months, you would have heard several initiatives being announced to provide jobs all over this place. When we came to office, Bimini was almost like a ghost town. That's only 4 years ago, you know. Bimini now has overemployment. And they're looking for 300 people as we speak to add to that employment. And people will close their eyes who want to, you know. They'll never acknowledge that that happened under the PLP because they don't want to. They want to continue to stay unemployment. But Mr. Steve, we created 22,000 plus jobs in the last 4 years. You know what happened? Every year, 6,000 come out of school. So as you create 24,000, another 24,000 join the line in the 4 years. So jobs are not being created fast enough to absorb all the people coming out. But to say that the government has done nothing with unemployment will not be fair either. I think people just need to know what the facts are. And then, look at the fish. You remember when I was on your show, the men from Long Island called about how Dominicans were really destroying the seabeds and taking up Bahamian traps and they couldn't make a living. I got a call from the same Keith Carroll today, celebrating the success of the fishermen today. And that was because the Bahamas government invested $234 million to buy new Defense Force boats, which are now plying the seas. Almost, I could say to you that poaching is a thing of the past. You heard anything lately? Nothing.
No, I haven't.
Nothing. And I told them to give us a chance. Now the boats are in service. Poaching is almost non-existent. But we will never probably get the credit from those who oppose us. No problem. But you can't say we're not doing good. And that's number 5. That's number 6. Number 7, if you watched, you would see Bahama is going to be the miracle of those doubters. Bahama, I believe, will open before the end of this year and will employ thousands of Bahamians. But I don't believe Christie will get the credit because they already blame him for the people being laid off, and he has nothing to do with it. Quite frankly, Mr. Christie spent almost $21 million, or no, about $4 or $5 million of taxpayers' money trying to keep those 2,000 people employed, but he's not going to ever get credit for that. But that's something good, I believe. And when the hotel opened, I hope he will get the credit for that too, rather than the blame. And then we talk about the redevelopment of the Potter's Ski area. Have you seen it lately? You see that? And we're doing that for straw vendors, not straw vendors, for food vendors and fruit vendors. Is that not touching the poor where they live? We're not going to get any credit for that from those who oppose us. And I've already announced 6 or 7 things. We are looking at the investments, as I mentioned, the Pharmachem, I think that's the right pronunciation. The Prime Minister just announced that for Freeport, Grand Bahama. Freeport is on a roll. You wouldn't hear anything about that either. Because when we came to office, Steve, you mustn't forget this. The finances of this country was in a mess. We are trying to dig ourselves out of that hole, hence the introduction of VAT. Some people don't see VAT as a good thing, but those of us who have the intellect have to recognize that VAT might have been the financial savior of our country. Had it not been for VAT, you thought we had problems? We would have had more problems, because you cannot run a country on a deficit year after year after year. Our deficit over the last 4 years have been reduced by more than $300 million because of the introduction of that. And next year or 2, we will have a balanced budget. That has nothing to do with the debt. It has to do with the budget, which means you cannot spend more than you make. And by next year, we will be able to show that we are making enough money to run our country without borrowing. That's what balanced budget is about. And we are right on the road to doing that. Is that not part of the success of this government? No, but we will not get the credit. So we have to give ourselves the credit and hope that some intelligentsia or some small man will know that every day this government works for them. And those things I listed, national anthem, minimum wage, the VAT, CLICO, BEC, BAMSI, the foreign investment, the fishing, Bahama, the real development, that's 11 things. And if you say they are not the successes of this government, then you don't even hear what we did, what is right. All you want to do is talk about crime and unemployment and stick a pin there. We should not win because of those two things, which we might not have been able to get the way we want them at the moment. But our country is more than two issues. We have several issues. And if I have listed, and I really did this on my way here, if I sat down, there are at least dozens of other things we have done, but the Bahamian people may not know.
Okay.
So we've got to improve our public relations.
All right. So I've given you that chance, that spiel to go and say that. Now I go to the telephone line.
Yes, sir.
I'd copy. How are you? Hi there. I'd copy. How are you? Okay. Don't leave the lines. I'd copy. How are you? Now you get back on lines. I'd copy. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Kenny. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Hey, and good afternoon, Mr. Gray.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, but listen, a great debater, Mr. McKinney. You got a great debater on me today. A couple of people called me, say he got you almost quiet in there, Mr. McKinney. But you know, one of the answers of a great debater is to make sure nobody else get a chance to speak. Mr. Gray, I want to ask you a question. I would say if a person votes for the PLP, that one X is just as important as any other PLP X that you got, right?
Right.
Because all of us only have one X.
That's right.
But I've done a PLP before. I think you were on a PLP.
Oh, no.
Now, I must admit that I voted for the F&M in 1992. I think a lot of PLPs voted for the F&M in 1992. That's what happened when Mr. Pendleton left the scene. But Mr. Gray, I would say, being a PLP all my life, I have been very disappointed. I must say that the MP that I have now, I find not much fault with him at the moment. I think he's been trying his best. But I would say one thing to you, Mr. Being a PLP, from 2003, Mr. Gray, I went to your offices, not only your office run by you, Lands and Surveys and the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. Me and my daughter applied for Crown land from 2003. Now, money saying that to say this, sir. I've been very interested in starting a little farm. I've been doing backyard farming. A lot of my neighbors and friends have seen my produce, and they've been telling me my stuff much better, 2,000-3,000% better than what you bragging about, Bouncy. They even prettier. But them thing I see, you come down here with them doggone, whatever they is, them banana, I got them bigger than that bayard right here in Nassau. But Mr. Gray, let me tell you something. I applied for land from 2003. Two governments have passed. I have seen a person come on a talk show this year, bragging about how he applied for land 3 years ago, already got his land down in Cowpen Road up and running and everything. And bragged about how he knew the permanent secretary.
Well, let me ask you, so
let me know. You can say what you have to say. Give him a chance, sir. But this person, I know some person within last year applied for Crown land and got theirs. I am reapplying now. From 2003, I am applying as a PFD for Crown land. I have not even gotten a call back yet from Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries or National Survey. And I said, as a PFD, there must have been a reason why I have been refused, because some people just applied this year and already got their property. Now tell me if that ain't cases go by favor or friends, family, and lovers. Now you could talk for the rest of the night. Have a good night.
Okay, let me just ask you this, because obviously I am only responsible for farmlands and not crown lands. See, it's a difference between lands.
Yeah, he needs to apply to your office.
He needs to, but he did say he applied to lands and survey. He started out with that. And so, sir, I don't know who you are, and I don't know that I can promise you I have a piece of land for you tomorrow, But I can guarantee you that I have issued almost 300 leases in the last 4 years. And I know if you had come to me, and I guarantee you, you cannot say you've been to me. Because 2003, I know whether you applied the wrong place, and I have a feeling you did. Now, if you are willing to challenge me on this, I say challenge me on this, come to my office, see the lands unit, speak to Mr. Fred Smith, make an application, leave the original there and bring me a copy and watch miracles happen.
Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, good evening, how are you?
Great, all is well, sir.
Good, Mr. Gray, good evening to you too.
How you doing, my friend?
Good. I want to say that the perception for me is that you believe the PLP will win because everybody else is so bad.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
And I think that that is not a good place to be. I want you to tell me that the PLP is going to win because they're good. The other thing is that every time we show you where we think the PLP is weak, then you accept that you're just as bad as the rest because they did exactly what you're doing. Having said that, Mr. Gray, you've touted the value of Bahamian institutions, particularly the Supreme Court and its ruling with respect to the numbers of people. And you cited that as a reason why the government should have, within its own good discretion and judgment, respect the decision of the court. I don't hear you saying the same thing about the Supreme Court ruling with respect to the Dolphins. You seem to skirt around the obligation that the government have with the number of people in the Supreme Court and the Dolphin people and the Supreme Court. It is the same Supreme Court.
Could I ask you something? What is it that the government did to disobey the courts with the Dolphin? You are wrong on that.
I will accept the wrong, but my perception is that you have a different value of respect.
No, no, sir, not at all.
We don't need to debate that. I'm not an attorney. I'm a layperson, and that's my position.
No, that's your perception.
I'm not going to listen to what the government say. I'm going to watch what they do. I have two specific questions.
No, but sir,
one is,
can I ask you, what about the Dolphins? Because you brought it up. What about the Dolphins that you heard the government might have skirted around?
I don't want to debate that, Mr. Gray. You said that you guys are abiding by it, and let's just agree to differ. The time is
okay, no problem.
I have two very important questions that I would prefer for you to elaborate on.
All right, sir.
One is, if Mr. Christie just the other day was advised by the Auditor General, and also the view was shared by the Minister of Tourism, that Phil Ruffin still owes the Bahamian people significant sums of money. And this is one of the things that really concerns you with how my government behaves. The Auditor General is a respected institution. I believe that, again, you talk about the value of institutions. Mr. Christie second guessed the Auditor General and said that he was going to look into whether or not Phil Ruffin owes the Bahamian people and report back to the Bahamian people. If you talk about respecting institutions, why is it that we've not seen a willingness and aggressiveness on the part of the government of the Bahamas? You want to tax the Bahamian people, but you're not prepared to aggressively determine whether or not Phil Ruffin owes us. How difficult is that to do when the Auditor General already said that? Secondly, the idea that the government of the Bahamas would institute a national intelligence agency and have the good gentleman Butskavala out there functioning without the legislation to govern and protect him, and you constantly promise the Bahamian people that you're going to deliver the important legislation for that institution to function, and for the good gentleman Mr. Butskavala to be protected by legislation and not out there in the open. Why is it that a government that you say is better than the FNM is able to deliver to the Bahamian people the expectations and results we want? Why is that legislation not in? I'll hang up and listen.
They're good questions, my good friend. Very good questions.
Let me start with where he ended. I believe I said very honestly that the government has not done everything that it promised to do. We still have about 14 months left. And at the time when the House is dissolved, that's when the Bahamian people should retrospectively look to see what promises we made that we did not keep. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Ruffin and his lawyers disagreed with the Auditor General, are you saying because they disagreed, we should not listen to their disagreement? That wouldn't be good governance either. So if they could prove that perhaps the bookkeeping which the Auditor General looked at was not properly entered. In other words, let's suppose they did pay the tax, as they said, but the people to whom the taxes were paid did not make the correct entry in their journal and their whatever. That's what the Auditor General will have to look at. The Auditor General will only look at books and receipts and all of that. So if somebody did not properly enter the payment made by Mr. Ruffin and his group, and they have evidence to show they paid it, are you saying we should not even look at it? I don't think that's what you're saying. So what I am trying to say to you is the Auditor General examined the books of the government. If those books did not include a payment that it should have included, you can't blame the Auditor General for that. If Mr. Ruffin, on the other hand, could produce his receipts that he paid the money.
Do you
So
believe
I'm
that the
saying,
money was paid based upon evidence that you all have gotten as legislators?
no, I don't know if the investigations are finished, but Mr. Christie promised, because the lawyers said they have reasons and evidence to show that they paid their taxes. I'm saying any reasonable government.
A colleague minister of yours says to the contrary.
No, I'm not. I was responding to what he said. Mr. Christie said he would look into it. And I think that's the right approach, because the books of the government is audited, rightly so, by the Auditor General. They could only audit what is in the book. And I'm saying if you have a receipt where you paid a tax and it was not properly recorded, that's a mistake of a clerk or somebody else. And I think you can't ignore if they say they paid it and they have evidence to show they paid it.
Okay.
So I think looking into it is the right approach.
NIA. Political are not protected by legislation that has been out there for some time. BJ Nodded spoke on this show that they were going to do some things. At this point, it doesn't seem to be a very important topic or a very important ideal to go behind. In other words, you all ought to have done this a long time ago to legitimize the NIA, plus to put this man under cover of protection since he's out there doing things, we assume, and there's no legislation to protect him, to pay him, to make sure that these things are basically as an act of power.
Well, my position is simply this. Whatever legislation that should be in place, I'm sure the government is going to put it in place. Listen, Steve.
When, Gray? That's what the man said. When?
No, I said we have not done everything we promised to do up to this point. And listen, there will always be something that did not turn out to be the right way. And I'm saying you got to give the government some credit for trying. And I'm saying if by the end of our term, these things are not in place, judge us on what we did.
I got lots of calls. Let me take a hard copy. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm listening to you, sir.
How you doing?
All is well.
Yeah, Mr. Gray.
Yay.
I've been paying to talk to you.
All right, sir.
Now, let's get the bouncy. I, as a man that's going to food stores 3 and 4 times a week. Now, listen to me carefully. I look for Bahamian stuff, especially Bonzi, and all I see is Guatemala, Mexico, tequila, and Dole. Now, where is the Bonzi stuff?
Well, let me just say, Bamsi produces not as much as the Dole and all of that Chiquita, and maybe the Bahamian people buy up the Bamsi stuff so quickly.
No, don't give me that.
Don't let him pull that on you, sir.
Don't put that on me.
No, but we have a store. Bamsi has a store on East Bay Street opposite Shell. Have you been in the store?
Opposite Shell?
Yeah, where the old place is.
Yeah, where the old Ministry of Agriculture used to be. And so maybe you haven't been there and the stores don't carry because we only produce maybe.
No good to carry.
What is no good to carry? What Bamsi produces?
Okay, next thing.
No, I'm asking you. You say what is no good to carry?
Well, so far just bigger than a chicken egg.
Well, I don't know. I can't agree with you on that because.
Yes, I was supposed to say he is about it.
No, but maybe that is what you bought. I'm not saying no to that. I'm saying that's not what the only thing. There are papaws that are bigger than your fist, bigger than your head. Maybe you bought.
About 6 to 7 pounds.
I'm saying the ones you bought might have been the smaller version of papaw because they have them of all size.
Yeah, but you have some mixed up.
What's your next question, sir? You wanted to ask another one.
Why don't you put the figures on the table in the House of Assembly, what money you have spent and what money you have took in from Bansi? That goes to show you that you are so embarrassed you wouldn't put those figures in the House of Assembly.
No, wait, the figures will be put during the budget debate. Wait for that. You'll see it. You'll hear it. No, but we're not producing as much as we would like to make a big difference in the food bill. Certainly we are producing some stuff, but BAMSI is just a start. BAMSI is not the answer to everybody's question. I think if everybody plants something in their backyard, sir, we will find that what you get in BAMSI, you could probably do just as much in your backyard. But I'm saying BAMSI is a national start.
Okay, what happened with bananas? Bananas is something very easy to grow. And with Long Island, and they lost all of their bananas. This is the time you all should have been having the bananas.
Well, we do harvest bananas every week. I'm saying to you, we may not be producing enough so that when you go to the store, it's there. But if you went to BAMSI's store on East Bay Street opposite Shell, you should be able to get BAMSI stuff because we don't have enough to put in all of the food stores.
You mean on East Bay Street there by Bayshore Marina?
No.
Let me tell you where it is. It's
yeah.
right where the old Ministry of Agriculture was. It's just
right there from BAIC.
Yeah, where BAIC used to be. That's where it is.
Right.
Where BAIC used
That's
to be.
where we are every day.
Yeah, Mama. My opinion, I think you are wasting money down in Andrews.
Okay, I appreciate your call.
All right, sir.
Yeah, great. Great, you said something quite interesting, that people ought to do more backyard gardening to help with the supply.
Supplement with the
and I think that's a good idea. I support the concept of BAMSI, as I told you. This is nothing new. That's our position. We support that. We think it's a good national effort. We do hope to see it successful. Yes, there are a lot of things that come out of BAMSI that are seemingly of a particular size for, I suppose, the commercialization aspect of trying to get a lot out and, at a good little size. But papayas, they can grow very, very large.
We have them of every grade. That's why I wonder where
I had some.
You talk about you say bigger than an egg.
I had some that people thought were watermelons that I grew myself. But I'm just saying that the thing is, we ought to get behind the BAMSI thing. Let us be realistic. We have to do better as a country in trying to provide food. So I have no difficulty with that. But there is a question I have. Do you know the mechanics of the seeds that they're using, the information on what kind of seeds are these for these papayas? Because most of those papayas are in fact very small.
Well, we have 3 grades. We have 3 grades of papaya, and honestly, I would rather not give you the name of the papayas because I am not scientific savvy. But we have 3 grades, and all of them are exhibited at our store. We have the big ones, we have the middle-sized ones, and we have the small ones. Some people prefer the smaller ones because they handle better. And so I am saddened by the fact that he only saw the small ones and said they're a little bigger than eggs. Now, I mean, that's laughable because I know BAMSI is doing perhaps not as much as we'd like, but we are in a starting position. We've just been in existence little more than 1 year. And I'm proud of what BAMSI has been able to do.
This whole thing, he talked about food stores. Wasn't there something worked out with Super Value?
Yes.
That carries the products?
But I'm saying when we put it in the store, it doesn't last because Bahamians like BAMSI stuff. BAMSI's got the sweetest bananas on the block. Chiquita's a joke. So when you have, say, 50 cases delivered to Super Value on a Saturday morning,
they're gone.
And by Saturday, 3 o'clock, it's gone. Somebody will say, BAMSI ain't got nothing here. No. Because Ramsey's product is gone.
Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve.
Hi there.
So, it's Casey from Freeport.
Hi, Casey. How you feeling?
Oh, perfect, man. I'm coming back.
That's good.
100%, man. Mr. Gray, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing? I wish you feel better. I heard you weren't feeling well just now. So listen, get well.
Yeah, I'm doing, I have a testimony to share, Steve, and I'd like to come and share on your show when I get to that.
Okay, no problems.
My father's a farmer as of Norton.
Oh yeah, I know Nor. I know Nor Newton.
He actually said that he had to stop farming because a parking house is paying less than half of for the stuff that he produced. Say a crate of tomatoes was say $13, they paid him like $5 per crate. And besides Bamsey, I think it's a beautiful idea. Don't get me wrong, but the way of technology is out there. People don't farm like that anymore, especially in a hurricane belt. One hurricane and we got to start over. I keep farming in high-rise buildings, 20-story buildings, in controlled environments. With the kind of money we're spending down there in Andrews, I would thought that the infrastructure would have been better for it because we're going to be inviting international students to Andrews, and Andrews doesn't even have an airport as yet. So no roads, no fire trucks, no hospitals. I'm saying I'm hoping that it's in the making. I'm hoping that it's a plan. I think that we probably went backwards on it, should have done it the other way around. But it's a beautiful idea with the Bamsey. I have one more question. There's something happening in Nassau, some bankers in April. The IDB. Mr. Gray, do you know who the IDB is to the rest of the world?
If I know who they are?
Yes, sir.
Well, they're the Inter-American Development Bank. I'm not sure what you mean, what they are. Maybe you have some.
In any first world, wherever they try to have their conference now, there's a protest. Because the IDB actually comes to destroy third world countries. And not besides the third world countries, we're signing on to WTO. WTO will put Bamsey out of business. WTO will put every small business out of business. WTO will completely destroy our constitution. And here the F&M started the process, and the PLC is continuing on with the process. I'm saying maybe you should read, there's something called the no discrimination law under the WTO where it says that you cannot discriminate for labor. There's no such thing as labor under the WTO. If you have it, you got to get rid of it within 3 years.
Yeah.
You understand? We are getting, when you talk about the Bahamian people and caring, I think, like in Grand Bahama, you talk about polymers. Polymers couldn't go nowhere else in the world because they couldn't figure out they were going to get rid of their waste. And you know, I had a brush with cancer. I lived right next door to polymers. And polymers, the styrofoam cups that they make, the beads, that was causing the cancer. And no politician ever, Peter Turnquist, Nico Grant area is where all the cancer is. And he has never once mentioned cancer in Grand Bahama. I went to Nassau. I'm sorry, Steve, but this is God had me go this path to make this my passion out of cancer. And there's no oncologist in Grand Bahama when this is where the majority of the cancer is occurring. We are yet to get a response from the government. I contacted the Grand Bahama Port Authority because I was getting, you know, I go, Steve, to get to the bottom of it. And they said they've already given the report to the government. You think there is an error? This administration, Mr. Gray, I really love you, Mr. Gray. I love you. They say me and his family too. We can figure it out later.
Okay.
But the report on the Attorney General's death. When I was in Nassau to the Rubens town hall meeting, I came to 60 obituaries in my hand. People are losing their family members, whole families are being destroyed, Steve. And I said to Mr. Jeff Lloyd, I said, I'm from Grand Bahama. When I mentioned Grand Bahama, he said, we're not concerned about Grand Bahama, sir. This is not about Grand Bahama, this is about Rubens, this is about the marathon. I said, this is for the record. Nobody cares about Grand Bahama. And we have people in that room, Mr. Steve, from Grand Bahama. After it, I asked Mr. Pintard, I said, Mr. Pintard, what am I missing? I care about my people in Grand Bahama, and we are dying. Just before I was diagnosed with anything, Steve. And he said, Casey, listen to me. That's bigger than you. Better leave that alone.
Casey, you gotta come to town. Let's talk, okay?
Yeah, that's sad. Well, Casey, I do wish you feel better. I know that there are some things which the government is looking into, but because it's under what I conceive to be strict and serious negotiations with some people in Grand Bahama, I would not dare to speak to it, but I am sure at some point it will come to light what we're trying to do. As a matter of fact, the government had been talking one time of relocating some of the settlements in Grand Bahama. People don't want to leave, and there's a lot of little issues which are being discussed. And I'm hoping that certainly you will be perfectly well and you'll be able to testify on what the Lord has and can do. But you know, our country has been in the throes of development for a long time. Some of the developments have turned out not to be as good as perhaps we now know because of science. But in all things we give thanks, and we will have to correct those things which we can and ensure that these things do not repeat themselves.
Hard copy.
Hello.
Hard copy, yes, sir. How are you?
Hey, Sis.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm listening to you. We're running out of
Yeah, how
time.
you doing, Minister?
How you doing, my friend?
All right, it's been all on for a little while. It was good to get on the show.
Yes, sir.
I heard the minister earlier said, he was talking about the CLICO model and, how the government finally brought some resolution to this vexing matter. Well, I just want to remind the minister, as he said that persons beyond for themselves, they will give credit. Well, you also highlight the fact with minimum wage. Well, before I go to minimum wage, I want to remind you that, keep in mind, it was the F&M that helped the Hauler victims who had an incident underneath your term when you was in power from 2002 to 2007, and they've been promised for the whole term that this matter being solved, but it wasn't. When the F&M came into power, the F&M got that matter solved within, I think, 3 years within their term. Also, moving forward with the whole minimum wage, you highlighted that minimum wage is a good thing for the poor people. I agree with you 100%, sir. But let's keep in mind, let's give credit where credit's due. It was the F&M that brought minimum wage to the BM people. When, for the past 25 years, underneath the PLP's first term, there was no vision to bring a minimum wage. And if there was, why it took so long to even be brought into the light? Going forward, sir, the PLP, and you always highlight, I noticed with you, sir, you always highlight how the PLP is 10 years or 2 terms in power is nothing compared to that and 15 years of power. I totally agree with you, because at the end of the day, how many schools have your government built in the past 10 years? Not one, sir. And if you be honest, the areas that you are now enjoying, where you could reach out to the Bahamians in large numbers, that was created on the F&M. But do you guys give credit for that? No. And also going forward, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make this quick as possible, because I don't have much time because it's on my cell phone. But if we be honest with one another, that in the terms of the F&M, in the three terms that the F&M had, we had 17. They built 17 schools. Also, the non-binding poll that you guys had, the 1.3 million non-binding poll. You talk about how the courts overruled this and overruled that, but the end of the government has the power to make laws and also to change laws, amend laws, and even repeal laws. So at the end, if the government was really serious about respecting the views of the people, as it relates to that referendum poll, they could change laws and shut down every number. But we all know that wasn't going to happen. Also, government wasted $14 million on Carnival. At the end, they got $40 million that you wasted on Carnival. So could have been used in creating jobs for the BM people who are in dire need for jobs.
All right, I have to stop you.
Also promised 10,000 jobs in the first year in government. That has not happened.
I got you.
And then the people are in need of jobs, like Prime Minister. Okay. And
I have to cut you. That time you said a lot. Thanks for we get your point.
Now he if I could, 2 minutes. The Sea Hauler issue. Governments are continuous. Government are continuous. I have never said the F&M have done nothing. I never said that. What I said, when you compare what we've been able to do in 4 years against what the F&M has done in their 15 years or whatever time they were in government, the F&M has not done anything comparable to what the PLP has done. That's what I said. I never said they didn't do anything. Now, when you talk about minimum wage, the minimum wage was $150 a year or so ago per week. I'm saying we increased it. I didn't say the F&M never had or introduced minimum wage. What I said, we increased it by $60 per week. And that was to help the poor. And if you discount that, that's okay. But somebody was happy we did that from 150 to 210. And then you're talking about the carnival, money being wasted. How could money be wasted when it is for the cultural development of a country? You don't know waste. There are hundreds of people who benefit from carnival and the expressions of their art, the craft, the artisans. Listen, you spend money to create a development process in your country. Nothing comes without a price tag. And if we do nothing, you'll probably be one of the first to say the government could have done something. So no matter what we do, I believe you will never give us credit. And so that's your right. But we are proud of our record. We are proud of the things we have done. I never said we never made any mistakes, and probably we'll make some more. But when you compare what the PLP is doing to what the F&M has done, or what the PLP is made up of. See, the PLP is the party of the poor. The F&M is the party of the rich and famous. And you may be in that little clique now, and so you forget perhaps from whence you would have come. But we still want to wipe every tear from every eye. We still want to provide for those who are not able to provide for themselves. And that's why we could look back at the history, this College of the Bahamas, the Defense Force, the Police Force, I mean, there's so many things that our PLP government has done while it was in office. 12 schools, 14 schools, good record. But when you compare what you did to what the PLP has done, that's what I'm saying pales in comparison.
Hard copy.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. McKinney, and good afternoon to Mr. Gray.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gray, I can honestly say that I really believe that based on what is being said or what has been said today, you and the fact that you actually decided to take the hot seat on hard copy, it shows me that you honestly believe within your heart of hearts that your government has done a lot. And Mr. Gray, I do agree that the PLP government, I would even go as far as say rather than within 4 years, within 9 years, the PLP government has done a lot, especially in your first time under the Christie administration. And Mr. Gray, this is the reason why I believe that this time around, the Bahamians are not going to be voting for parties. They're actually going to be voting for the individuals. And Mr. Gray, based on the character that I've seen publicly from your standpoint, I believe that you are going to be one of those members that are reelected. But just one or two quick questions. Mr. Gray, and this is just from a hypothetical position with regards to Jerome Fitzgerald. When the question was asked to him why he never informed his constituents of the ordeal that was going on in Marathon, and I would appreciate if you can answer the questions after I hang up. His response was that he would have lost his job. Now, I understand how cabinet goes, and I understand, the secrecy or the confidentiality that you're sworn to. But Mr. Gray, I'm asking from a hypothetical position, what would have been your position had that question been put to you? Secondly, Mr. Gray, is it my understanding that there are no fire engines in Exuma and one or two other family islands? And if that is the case, Mr. Gray, can you please explain why that is so? Also, you made a statement where you said that Mr. Christie or the Christie government really has no say in the Bahama ordeal. I want to know if that is the case, and the government has already admitted to giving over $1 billion in concession. How is it, Mr. Gray, that we do not have any say in that? And finally, Mr. Gray, with regards to those fires that were reported sometime on Thursday or Friday, is there any possibility, Mr. Gray, that you can give us some update as to what the situation is? And just on closing, and just based on all the callers that I've listened to, it is my belief and my opinion that the approach approach to the conversation is a show of disgust by the Bahamian people and an indication that the PLP is gone. And to the last caller, he is obviously, a political person or somebody that was actually put up to the call. I'm just saying my point of view. We need to start focusing on the issue and stop focusing on the party and all the colors. Have a good afternoon, gentlemen.
Well, so you raised so many
the fire
things.
engine.
Yeah, the fire engine, to say that there's no fire engine in Exuma is not correct. There is a fire engine in Exuma, and I don't know where you got your information from, but I was at the dedication of the fire engine in Exuma. It may not be a sufficient.
We know that.
But there is a fire engine in Exuma. I just wanted to answer that. With respect to Bahama and the concessions are given to all developers under the Industries Encouragement Act, or the Hotel Encouragement Act, sorry. And by law, they are entitled to these concessions to encourage development. And so to say because they have the concessions, the government has an interest in the business is not exactly correct. The government has an interest in making sure that it runs the business in the interest of the Bahamian people. But the extent to which business people are fighting, and that's what happened at Bahama. The contractors are fighting Mr. Ismillion. Mr. Ismillion is fighting the bank. That's where the problem is. It had nothing to do with the government being for or fighting any issue. The government was trying to bring the three agencies together: the Construction Company of China, the Exim Bank of China, and the Ismillion Group. They're the three parties involved. And I'm saying we can't take a hands-off approach like it doesn't affect the Bahamas. And that's why Mr. Christie has spent countless hours trying to see if they could bring a resolution to this matter. But when I say the Bahamian government is not involved, we are not a party to the contractual arrangements with these three entities. That's what I meant.
Hard copy, how are you? Hi there. All right. Hard copy, how are you?
Good night, Steve.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
All is well.
Okay, that's great, sir. Mr. Gray,
Yes, yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. Steve, I know you passed over time. I want to say that was a great show you got on the show on Sunday, on the last word. Thank you so much for, not just enlightening me, but I guess the entire country about the Panama Papers.
Yeah.
And what's going on with that. Also, Steve, I just want to say quickly that, there's a massive backup of traffic, Pontiac Drive by where Shell is, close to COB.
Right.
Partly there's some sort of roadwork that's been done, and there's a massive ditch, Mr. McKinney, where cars are kind of literally falling in the ditch. It took me almost 2 hours to get home by a bus,
Thank you.
So I don't know if you want to just give a heads up with motorists, traveling along that route.
Better than that, we want to get the Ministry of Works people working. It's going to be raining all night and certainly all day tomorrow for the most part. So they need to go. If they dug that up, they probably didn't get a chance to pave it back, but they've got to go and do some intervention right now so that we can eliminate the traffic. Okay, I appreciate that.
Mr. Gray, I heard what you said. Just to be fair and objective, in terms of what the parties and everything. But Mr. Gray, my name is Leonardo, and I'm in my 30s, so and I'm really here to let you know that the PLP's time is up. And it's not political. I'm a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and basically, when I hear you say, what the PLP did in the past, I mean, yes, thank God for the past and what happened, and with Mr. Pennington and everything. So, but you should have asked the question, the caller, where you asked, what is the PLP done today? And nothing irks me when we talk about issues, but then you all talk about what the FNM didn't do.
Well, caller, did you hear me? Did you hear the 13 things? No, sir. Did you hear the 13 things I listed just now? The 13 things we did since we came to office 4 years ago. Did you hear any of those?
Mr. Gray, I heard you object, sir. I had the time to hear you say now, allow me to say what I need to.
No, but you said I brought up the past. I list 13 things we did since 2012, and you have not mentioned one credit for that.
So just completing my point, right? Listening to Brandy Roberts and whoever the spokesman of the party is, they're going this old school mudslinger style in terms of what the FNM did. Sir, I put you all as the government. I voted for you all to do what you need to do do on behalf of the Bahamian people. And so you all haven't done it. And let me show you why, right? Case in point, the situation with Rubens, right? Yes, that situation may not have started underneath the administration watch, but the information was there, and you all refused to act upon it. And now we have members of my family that's actually being diagnosed and dying of cancer, along with hundreds of residents in that area. Okay, that's one. The situation with NIGOD and Mr. Bacon and all this, so if you want stood on the point of legislating a Freedom of Information Act, that would nullify this entire situation. We wouldn't be in a situation where we're being laughed at. I have friends from abroad that's making, that's saying, what's going on in the Bahamas? You know what I'm saying? All because you all failed the legislative draft of Freedom of Information Act to make sure that everything is done clear, transparent, and open. Okay, that's another reason why, Mr. Gray, you all ain't getting back in. Okay, the Bahamian people voted no for gambling. Even the persons who gambled voted no, and yet the government went ahead and defied the will of the people. Let's begin just a short story. I was on the park the other day just exercising, and a young girl, couldn't be no more than 11, 12 years old, 6:30 in the morning, come asking me for money for lunch because she said she's hungry. What's going on the side of home? Her parents spent up all the money on numbers on gambling, spaghetti, right? And I wouldn't delve too much because I know you know horror stories where parents are gambling. The last, you had used someone on the show the other day saying that they had $75,000 in the bank as a fisherman, and when he came back from overseas, his wife drained on numbers. And our icon, everything is crumbling around us. Spaghetti, all morality is gone.
So you figure that Gray and them ought to get their act together, because what they have done thus far, though they have done some things, will not be good enough to impress people that they should be getting a second chance again.
Mr. King, that's the bottom line. And you know, thank God again for your show in terms of educating the public. And again, this brings us another point with the beach access. Where are you on, Mr. Gray? I'm watching either cable 12 or ZNets, where I see my own fellow brothers and sisters being kicked upon and being mistreated by the police force or whatever for standing up for their rights to have access to the beach. There's no one person or entity or group or investor that has any right to tell any Bahamian that they can't have access to their own beach. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Where you are, Mr. Gray, defending the rights of the Bahamian people? And then again, thankfully, Mr. McKinney educated the public yesterday on the show to say that whoever is managing Atlantis now, saying that, hey, look here, we're not giving no more extension for any sort of thing. Like, there's no more negotiating. I didn't hear anything from Mr. Wilson. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. The people are looking for you, Mr. Gray, any member of the PLB, to stand up for the rights of the Bahamian people. You all came on the slogan of believe in Bahamians. That's actually the second biggest lie next to the devil convinced the world that he doesn't exist. I sound emotional, but that's the broad truth, because
I got you. Let me let Mr. Gray answer you. I get your point. I appreciate your call, and thank you.
Well, so obviously you were not listening to me all evening, so I forgive you for that, because what you have ended on, I spoke to at least an hour ago. And if you didn't hear, I said the Bahamian government is in negotiations with the owners of that property to find a solution. Now, I did say that the property is owned by private people. And because you use a private people's property to cross over from time to time, from year to year, does not cause you to have a right to it. And so the government has to negotiate a right of way, either by buying it or acquiring it on behalf of the Bahamian people. And that's what we are trying to do. But leave that aside. That's a legal issue. But I just want you to get an understanding as to what's happening there. And you know, there are some things you said which suggest that you heard me, listed 13 things, but they don't matter to you, because they just don't matter to you. And ain't much I can do about that. All I want you to do is to consider what we have done and consider whether those things are in the interest of the Bahamian people.
I can take these final two calls, and that's it, because we run out of time. Hard copy, how are you? Okay, no one's there. Hard copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Mr.
Mr. McKinney calling back in regards to that application. Mr. Gray, I called about the application with the farmland.
Yes,
the
sir.
application is in your permanent secretary hand. It's also gone into, right in your office, the new office. I have to resubmit it again this year. I can guarantee you that the permanent secretary has it in our hand, including my passport, my voter's card, any pictures, driver's license, anything. It also went in Mr. Enya's hand. Ms. Waltz have other copies of it. Everything was left there. So when I told you about the lands and survey, that is when they sent me back in 2003. They also sent me the agriculture fishery back in 2003. I went every place they sent me to go to apply. The last time I applied, I have every document in your new office and out at the trader building. I know where you are, sir, and I know where I took everything. I tell you, people just apply for their things. No longer than a year ago got the property. I did from 2003 and never opened one yet. You all have the documents. Have a good day.
Okay, let me answer you this way. We have thousands of applications for lands, and I wish I knew who you were, but I don't need to know. And so it will be very true to say every applicant will not be able to get a piece of land. That's a fact. Because if you have 1,500 applications for 500 acres of land, and you're giving an acre each, only 500 or 1,500 will get. So I'm not saying everybody who apply will get, but I said if you allowed me to look at your application, call me privately, come in to see me, I will do my best to see whether I can get you a piece of land, because since 2003, that's 13 years ago, I think you deserve some special consideration. But the truth is, everybody who apply will never, ever be able to get a piece.
All right, no more
just
calls.
not enough land to go around.
No more calls. I would just say, I know the caller. I'm not at liberty to call his name to you, but
No problem.
certainly,
But
if he's listening,
he
Sparky,
could
all
come
you
to
have to
see
do
me.
is just go and, if you're serious about it, just go and, and let me just say this as you go. Kind words turn away wrath. Angry words stir up anger. So if you're trying to get something done, be prudent, and I wish that you get it, because I know that you can grow a lot of good stuff there. So that's just a little bit of unsolicited advice from me, because some people can be put off by this vociferous kind of anger tone on somebody who's trying to get something, and they say, "Oh my goodness, can he sound at least more, humble in his request to have something done that I know he deserves to have done?" I'll say begging, but it's just kind words, do it in a different way. And we all can learn from that. And to be Alfred Gray, I want you to know today, sir, that I appreciate the fact that you've come, that you've sat the chair. Somebody asked when we were off here, if you would burst into flames, you didn't fire with the who, because they figure you were hot. The point is this, when I bring any person onto this show, the idea is to come to the show and to have me get you on canvas, on the record. And I've gotten you on the record on a number of issues. You would have noted that you said some things that I did not say anything in response to, because I want the record to be that this is what the answer is to the questions that I posed. And so don't take that to mean that I've accepted all that you've said, but I do respect the fact that you've answered those questions that I asked you as to the best of your knowledge. And so I appreciate that, and it's all on the record. And of course, when you come on hard copy, you can make a highlight reel, you can make our commentary record sound bites, because we now have it on the record. It's a matter of how the public have heard you. And I also want to be fair with all persons who come to hard copy, as I am an equal opportunity provider. PLP has come on, Alfred Gray, the minister. I gave him his 2.5 hours. And so I let you talk plenty, because I invited you here to express yourself. You answered the calls from the public. They may not like the answers, they may judge you by them, but the fact is that you showed up. And to me, that's a good mark. And to me, I wish you well.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. And I trust that the debate was such that I added to it. The other thing I want to say is I want to thank all of the callers. I come on this show not to be agreed with, but to at least state the position as I know them and let the Bahamian people be the judge.
Mhm.
Because when you have one side of any story, you have no intelligent way of knowing what the truth is. And so I hope that those who agreed or those who disagreed would know that if they look objectively at the question and the answers, they might find something I said today that they didn't know existed. And that's the purpose of my coming, to make sure I be a part of educating the Bahamian people as to what the government is seeking to do and perhaps has done over the last 4 years.
Yeah, and so the question we had posed today was a simple question. If they have done anything, why should we even consider returning the PLP to government? If they've done nothing, why should we even be consider returning the PLP to government? The truth of the matter is that it's a provocative question if you really think of it. They can express themselves on their record, and today Mr. Gray has done that. Others we will invite to come and express themselves based on the same question. You say that you're all doing so good. You say X, Y, and Z. Why should we return you to office? And maybe we can extract from them the best of what they have done, and then we can truly make up our mind based upon the facts as they know them to be. And so that's the whole key. Thanks again. Let's go home, Nathan.
Thank you.
Today's show has been brought to you by Clico Liquidators, Nassau Motor Company, John Canoe Carnival, Commonwealth Bank, Ministry of Tourism. Kalina Insurance for comprehensive coverage, Bahamas Foot Manco, Blake Road, Super Wash, 10 locations, Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions. Super Value, the Bahamian Supermarkets, McKinney Media Group for effective PR concepts and advertisement. Advantage Shores and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, Ron's Electric Motors, Clarendon Wolf Road. Also by Sky Bahamas, professionals in every way, every day. CFAL, Kalina Financial Advisors Limited. Executive Printers, they do printing right. NREF Store, the light people on Mackey Street. Buddy's Wings and Greens in Fox Hill. Now, tomorrow on the show, we hope to have another of Mr. Gray's colleagues come this way, this side of Jordan, to talk again. I shall tell you about that later, as I want to make sure that's absolutely confirmed. We shall be back tomorrow on the show as usual, 5 o'clock. You know, it's 5 o'clock is hard copy. If you don't get what you're looking for in hard copy, you certainly will get what you get. And today, you got something from Mr. Gray, I would say. Mr. Gray, go and spread the word to your fellas in your territory and tell them that you have been on hard copy. You've been to the mountain
place to be.
and that they should come too.
I will certainly let them know that I enjoyed it, and they would too if they dare to come.
All right, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nathan Roll has been our producer tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Good night.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, man.
Nice to meet you.
Not about okay, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.